You ready, Luke?
Are you ready, Garnet?
Let's do this. It's time for the One Up Your Show for Friday, April the 27th on the One Up Network. It's Garnet Lee, Luke Smith,
Hello.
His final appearance.
Mark
Last
McDonald,
time.
John Davison, Awesome Gang, and Andrew Pfister on the Wheels of Steel.
Oh, I really want to just say, like, diddling the knobs. I want to just make it easy.
Oh, okay, well, I can do that too. Andrew
Diddling
Pfister
the
on
knobs?
Diddling, yeah.
the knobs.
I might cry. I hope I don't cry during tonight's podcast.
Save the tears. There's no...
Hey, we went all out on this podcast. We're actually we've taken the listener requests. 16-year-old Islay Malt Lagavulin.
Smoky.
This is very smoky, isn't it? It's either like walking into a cellar or an arson scene. I'm not really sure which.
It kind of tastes like a campfire a little bit, but in a good way.
You can taste it in your eyes.
But you know what? Actually, the flavor is fantastic. It's like so smooth. You guys are all on ice, and I got to tell you, it's
That
Garnet's
doesn't
a
make you
real
any
man.
more of a man.
No, I'm not saying more of a man. I did not imply that. I like my scotch with a little ice. But actually, this one, very good just by itself. It's nice. I'm really impressed. Mar, you did a great job. Excellent recommendation. I still can't afford an $80 bottle of scotch on a regular basis.
We have even more, like in the holding tank.
Let's do.
In case this gets through. Derek Brady from Factor 5 sent a bottle over.
And Eat Sleep Game, is that what they're called? Eat Sleep Games sent us a bottle of Maker's Mark as well.
Oh, lovely.
So, yeah.
And then
We're in business.
Sony Computer Entertainment sent tequila.
Awesome.
So
People trying to tell us something?
I think they're trying to say they're glad I'm gone.
Here's alcohol. Bye.
The second segment is very quickly going to degenerate into some kind of spirit spectator. That's okay. We can do that too, right? Actually, today on the second segment, we're going to dig into something that John brought to us, which actually was a thread that almost got locked by Andrew, but stayed alive.
Ooh.
Very close.
Very close. They were flirting, like for an entire second page of the thread, they were
started the
flirting with
thread?
it.
The cusp of getting
Oh.
locked has been the theme of the boards this week.
Yeah,
That kinda has been a theme.
Sweet T23 started it, and it was at risk of degenerating.
But we kind of picked up on it, and there's some themes in here. I mean, we're not going to completely dissect the article. We're actually going to use it as a launching pad to talk about fanboys and
Girls.
product evangelism, and all those kind of topics in the second segment. First segment, of course, we're still going to do what you've been playing. We've been playing a lot of games, and John's here, so of course we have the usual rundown from the message board.
So we'll have remembered to do the community
A
stuff.
proper treatment.
Look, you already slagged us last week for that. You can't slag us again. There's a one.
Oh, on this show, he's your boss.
Well, apparently. I'm sorry, Garnet. He went red.
Okay, well,
Awesome.
maybe you
It's
can't
just
slag us.
that's
It's
the
just the
booze.
booze.
Yeah.
And then third break, of course, we have some fantastic news, and I love the first item. I don't know whether the first item is what you're actually going to run with as the first item.
I think that's probably a pretty fair assessment of what we will be talking about.
A
Excellent.
little German.
He needs a little bit. He needs a little bit of that toughness.
All right.
Well, who knows? Maybe you can hit monster.com.
He's sent to die.
Monster.com.
sent to die.
Dude, monster.com. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Just Nintendo's gonna hire him. That'll be awesome. That Kudaragi's brain, Miyamoto's waggle, and
Wait,
Iwata's
I'm about to say, you got to have Iwata's vision in there, too.
That's gonna be just.
How would Milky voice this character?
I don't know. I can't do Milky doing those three gentlemen mashed together.
That would be pretty amazing, wouldn't it?
It was very reverent of you, calling them gentlemen.
They are gentlemen. Mr. Kudaragi has been the source of.
Mr. Kudaragi.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kudaragi-san, when you start calling him that.
What, Y2K?
Peter Moore style.
No, come on. Remember, it was like Jay Allard who said he wanted Kudaragi's resignation letter framed up on his, on his
true.
desk.
And Kudaragi, I guess, kind of...
Complied.
Well, not before Jay Allard,
Yeah, Jay
moved
Allard.
on to other things.
He's working on the Zune.
Yeah. We'll call it a draw.
All right, so who wants to kick off here talking about some games? Because we've got lots and lots of games to talk about.
I want you guys to start because Skip was like yelling next to me at my desk, and John and Garnet are both yelling, and it's like, what the hell are you guys playing? Something on your DS?
No, but something equally as fun as playing a game
Oh,
on your
yeah.
DS.
Calling all cars,
Calling
right?
all
Yeah.
cars,
Did you play it as well?
I only got to watch Andrew play it because we were taking video, and I was like, we need somebody who knows what they're doing. I was impressed. Andrew had some skills. You guys had already played. You played like the first afternoon.
They played for hours.
It's because once you start playing it, it's really hard to put down. Even though there's only 4 maps, it's really, really hard to put down.
I wasn't buying the whole always like basketball thing when I heard it, but that's exactly what it's like. It reminded me, you remember years ago when we would play NBA Showtime around the 4-player arcade machine?
Yeah.
It's that kind of vibe where you just get so frustrated and so angry, and so it's like, oh, it's awesome.
We had epic battles around what would be like the equivalent of the basket, which is like trying to get the convict back into the jail cell. We had unbelievable battles. I mean, there were battles literally where it would change, I bet, a dozen times before finally someone would just manage to get it just the right spot and squeeze through the doorway. It was incredible.
Because you get that dog pile right near the jail where everyone hits it and the convict is changing hands.
So none of the maps are that big, and they're fairly flat. I mean, they have some elevation to them.
The snow level had a couple of
The snow level has some elevation, and then it mixes it up. I mean, like the simplest level is just you're cruising around the town. You have to grab the guy and get him back to the jail. But then it gets more complex when it starts bringing the paddy wagon in, and then there's a helicopter that you have to deliver him to.
Yeah,
and it'll just randomly change where you have to take it.
I like the train yard level was the thing that I saw. I thought was cool because the train goes by and the train is like a moving jump.
Yes,
like it's
you can jump over
and
it.
You use it to
totally
ramp
blow
up.
through it.
I thought that was cool.
But I mean,
did you ever figure out the helicopter thing?
Yeah, 4 points.
You get 4 points.
You have to jump into it.
You have to stay under it for a while.
You have to stay under it, and it lowers a hook, and it pulls the guy out of your car.
Yeah.
Too hard right now.
Yeah.
That's
if you need what you need is you need to pick up the rocket power up and hang on to it and go under the helicopter and wait, and then it'll lock onto whoever's closest to you, and you hit them so that you have enough time for him to pull.
Okay, that makes sense.
But it is 4 points.
Sense.
I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, it is hard to stay somewhere for that long without somebody else hitting you, but it is 4 points.
In the burbs level.
In the burbs level, it's too hard.
Which doesn't have a police station, right?
But it's really good. I mean,
there's playing it. There's 3 phases to the game, and you go through them really quickly. There's the drop of the escapee, which is like the first phase. Everybody races out to get him, right? And then you were saying Andrew doesn't play it to race out. He lets everybody else go and race for the guy. So that's the first phase, is the race to get the guy. And then the second phase is to cover the no man's land. Get the guy back from wherever he is out in the level up to the station. And then there's the dogfight from hell at the station, which is just unbelievable. It's so chaotic.
Well played, my friend. You're like a spider. You let the flies tire themselves out.
Strategies and alliances and all sorts of stuff going on.
But the downside of that is if you just play the defensive side and you miss, like with whatever your weapon is, and the other person has saved their turbo, they can dash in and get the score really quickly. So it's risk-reward.
Well, here's my question. How much is it worth? What are you going to be happy if you see it? What price are you going to be happy to pay for it on the PSN network?
I'll answer for it. I would gladly pay $10 for it.
Yeah,
I would get my $10 out of it.
10 or 12 bucks, definitely. I mean, if they price it right, I think it's definitely one of the most fun of the downloadable games.
The $10 is predicated. The $10 is predicated on 4 levels, one of which doesn't have a police station, which I didn't enjoy that level as much.
Do you know how? I saw there's a ton of unlockable cars. Do you guys know how you unlock those, or if they're any different?
Different conditions.
Different conditions.
But
the cars are all the same.
Yeah.
So there's no additional benefit. It's just a cosmetic
thing. But they look cool.
Yeah, they look cool.
They're like achievements.
Yeah.
And it is single player playable with bots. I mean, you were playing through like tournaments with bots, and the bots are pretty decent. The bots are actually.
But it's not. I didn't think it was the same. And to be honest, I mean, the most fun, I think, is when you know the people that you're playing with and you can hear them screaming and shouting.
Right.
I mean, it's something that's begging for the voice chat thing. I think you're not going to get the same out of it if you're not aware of how the other people are reacting to you.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to step out there and in this essence review the game, but I would say that of the games that I played that are downloadable games, that this one embodies everything that downloadable content ought to be in the current marketplace of what downloadable games are, and is immediately in the top 3, if not top 2. I mean,
you're saying top 2, like
it's
Geometry Wars?
It's the Geometry Wars for the PS3.
Whoa,
it is
absolutely. Whoa, let's slow down.
No,
here.
Mark, no, it is.
Let's slow down.
It is the Geometry Wars for the PS3.
It's been out a couple days. We played it a few hours.
Are you telling me playing Geometry Wars you didn't know right off?
I did not know. I could say Geometry Wars was a great game, but did I know it was going to last? Did I know I was going to play it for months? Did I know I would still pick it up now and then? I wouldn't know. And that was actually my next question to you guys is like that. It looked like a very easy, simple, fun pick up and play game, which is what it's meant to be. Do you think it'll last?
Well, let me put
Yeah.
it this way. You don't need new basketball courts every time you play a new basketball game. You don't need, I mean,
No,
this
and
game
Geometry
would
Wars is the
benefit.
same thing all the time. But I'm just
Right.
wondering, that's what my question is. Like, is it going to have legs? Like
It's not something
think so.
you're not going to sit down and play it for hours on end. You're going to sit down and play it for 15, 20 minutes while you're waiting for everyone to get together to play something else.
Which
But
is
I
why
think
it's perfect for for downloadable content.
It's going to be, let's play some Calling All Cars because so-and-so said he's not going to be available till 9 o'clock or whatever.
big game
Right.
on home is what you're saying. Like people
Oh
will be
yeah!
around.
Oh,
and-
absolutely! I think it'd be
absolutely, yeah.
fantastic.
Interesting.
So, I mean, I think it'll benefit from new levels. I hope that they will continue and put out some new levels because it has that opportunity to be expanded with new levels through downloadable content. But the 4 levels are good,
I mean, it's certainly the best download game on PlayStation Network.
right? And Blast Factor's no slouch. It's just this is
And
this is
it's
the-
up
Wait, no. You got what about Flow?
yeah.
Silence.
I don't think so.
So that's so here's my thing. I think some people were really, really, really hot on Flow when it came out, including me, and I still think it's a cool thing. But that's a game where, like, the drop off was severe. It was very cool for a few hours, and then it was like, and it was arguably still worth buying for those those few hours, and then it just falls off, and you kind of feel like I don't know if I
The
need to
flow
play
wasn't.
this again.
It wasn't exciting or particularly visceral. It was just sort of, it was good if you were stoned.
Seriously.
But it's not the kind of thing. I mean, this
And
is
watching
like
someone else
for
do
five
it.
for 5 minutes. You can really get your heart pumping, and it's like really exciting. And then you're fine putting it down. I mean, last time we played like 3-4 games back to back, and that was enough.
That was the perfect.
And we
amount.
had really good fun and ready for something else. But I think anyone that's saying, "Oh, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to play it and play it and play it and play it," they're going to be like, I don't know about it.
But having done that, I'm equally ready to go back and do it again.
Right.
For spend a half hour, have some fun with it, and be done with it.
Play it while Sigma downloads.
There
I'm
you
not
go.
trying. I'm being serious.
No, absolutely.
Serious, PS3, I want one now. Like, I'm ready. Sigma, did you see the screenshots? Some people.
Oh, yeah.
Some people put up like screenshot comparisons
We
and
put up the demo
and
just
the
now.
like the black on Xbox and how it looked, and like little dudes on the internet.
Man,
are trying to put
Shane and I talked
comparisons up.
about this when they brought it by for us. What was that, about 4 weeks ago? And it's fully amazing.
When does that actually come out? Like June?
The Sigma demo or
No, the game.
The game.
The game.
It's summer. It's definitely summer. I don't know the nut
It's
date right off the
soon,
top.
yeah. I think it is June.
The improvement in the animations is easily recognizable and really makes it feel so much more fluid.
Are you gonna finally play it?
Yeah.
This is, I mean,
I say I will,
Wait,
but
what do you mean
bought.
finally play it?
oh, you didn't know this. Mark's never played Ninja Gaiden.
Oh yeah.
Really?
It's one of
Yeah.
those games you just never got to. Skip hasn't either.
I bought it.
Oh man, dude,
Wow.
I bought it. I paid my own money. I bought it. I just got busy with other shit.
Yeah, you okay? Your skirt getting in the way over there?
And then I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna play Ninja Gaiden Black.
Is this your purse, Mark?
And then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna play Ninja Gaiden. All right, now I'm gonna play Ninja Gaiden Sigma. We'll see.
You'll play like Ninja Gaiden Theta.
He was
on
busy with
this year.
Play the holographic re-release on PS5.
he was completely busy with Nintendogs.
I was gonna say it was how's Paper Mario?
Yeah. I should add that to what I've been playing list, actually. Thank you for that. Super Paper Mario. Thanks.
I can take a leak during that part of the show.
I don't think we want to get into the games Luke hasn't played.
There's
do
a
we?
whole sea
Oh,
games
Do
I
we
haven't
want
played.
to? I don't
What
think
games
so.
haven't you played?
Are you kidding?
No, let's roll some out.
I don't think I've played a
This will be
game
fun.
from this year
Oh well, that's
in a while.
from this. Oh,
But
you
you're
mean
playing
like
Burning Crusade? That's this year.
Yeah,
counts.
that doesn't. I mean, really.
Yeah.
really? Yeah,
I'm
that
playing-
fully
I'm
counts.
playing-
Tell us all about all your adventures, Uncle Luke.
I don't like that. I don't like being called uncle. It makes me feel old. No,
Aw.
but so yeah, I just played World of Warcraft. What's the problem?
No, I'm not. I'm asking.
Oh yeah, you look really interested.
I am. Although I don't play, I have an academic interest in.
Well, so I guess one of I played a little bit this week, but the main thing that I did with World of Warcraft this week was I went to Blizzard, and this was Rob and Damien from Game Videos and I went down to Blizzard on Wednesday to do this special that's going to air sometime in like May or June.
Yeah, I think it's early June.
I think that's what it's tentatively slated as. So it's going to be this whole video thing. We talked with four of the designers and the producers there, just about video games in general. So it's more interesting than just it'll be more interesting to people who just like games than people who are just like hardcore.
Do they talk about
players.
WoW at all, or is it just
Oh, yeah.
about their influences?
Yeah, it's a lot about their influences, but how certain things come to, like, there's a lot of putting things in context. Like Jeff Kaplan and Rob Pardo from Blizzard. Kaplan's the lead designer on WoW, and Rob Pardo's the VP of design. We're both in this EverQuest guild called Legacy of Steel. And Rob Pardo was the guild leader of LOS, who is this super competitive EQ guild. So all this stuff in like the WoW first kill race, these guys are all totally familiar with from EQ. And then Rob left Legacy of Steel to finish up War 3. Jeff Kaplan took over Legacy of Steel, and then he left to go make World of Warcraft. There's a bunch of guys on that team who are, hardcore guys. And some of the cool parts from the video, they talk a lot about Ultima Online, which I'd never played before.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about EQ, Viva Pinata. So it wasn't what I'd been playing. It was what I've been traveling. I played New Super Mario Brothers on the way. Does that count? And beat Aria of Sorrow.
What's really cool about the Warcraft stuff, before we switch gears, is that about 5 o'clock tomorrow, when you're officially no longer on this side of the fence, they're going to be IMing you with all the cool stuff they wanted to tell you about.
Yeah.
Because once you're on the developer's side, it's like the developers, they all know. You guys all share everything you're talking about. I know. Just the way it is. I know you do.
It's a huge conspiracy.
Garnet
No conspiracy to it. They just lie. They love it. They laugh.
They tease.
They tease.
And then I went back through. I started through New Super Mario Brothers again. I started clean over from my last save. I don't know why. I just felt like going through it again. People have said that they liked it. I didn't think I liked it, and it's good, but it's the same. I think I probably complained about it a year ago. Like, the suits are terrible. Who do I have to suck to get a Tanuki suit? Really?
Tanuki suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do I have to like blow to get one?
Shigeru Miyamoto.
Or like who do I have to like give a hand job to play as a Hammer Brother for a
Still
change?
Miyamoto.
Yeah, like let's do that. The blue shell, pretty terrible. One of the worst power-ups I've ever seen in any video game ever. It's awful. It's a degradation to the Mario franchise.
Wait, the blue shell, is that the one where you just go?
Oh, I'm running.
nuts?
Oh, I'm a shell.
Yeah.
Oh, it's uncontrollable and it's terrible.
I kind of figured I kind of figured with more play you would kind of master that, what was going on with that.
It's you know what?
I like the tiny Mario. I thought that
Mario's
was really
cool.
cool. You can walk on water. You can get in these little spots. That was a cool
in
idea.
big Marios, whatever. But how about I eat a feather and get a raccoon tail and fly? How about a cool power up like that? Or how about I
Was that some kind of double innuendo or something?
No.
You're
Oh.
stuck. You're stuck in the past, my friend.
I'm stuck enjoying the good Mario. Damn it.
Well, apparently people do not agree with you. That game is fucking selling.
9.5 million.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
That is actually a pretty insane
Prince
number.
money. Just
Yeah.
Prince money.
Much like Pokemon, which has sold 1 million already,
Yeah.
and it's only been out what,
5 days.
5 days.
Yeah.
I was so happy that mine got there in like one day.
Shane and Brian, they sit outside my office, have been playing Pokemon non-fucking stop.
I started playing today, and every time I have a free minute, I've been playing it.
Shane brought it to my going away barbecue.
Yeah. He's playing it.
he's all like, maybe someone will have theirs here so we can trade.
He's probably playing it right now. They're heading down to the Coachella Music Festival. So
Oh god, yeah, he's playing it. Jeremy Parrish came up to me earlier and I saw that I was making a cup of tea in the kitchen, and he's like, "What are you playing?" "Oh, Pokemon." "Which version?" I'm like, "Pearl," and he's like, "You're dead to me," and just walked off
That's so Jeremy.
because he's playing Pearl as well, so he has no interest in me.
Yeah, he already knows that I'm on Diamond. He's already been hounding.
Oh yeah, he's all over you.
He's been hounding me. He's like, you got to get going.
You guys are like fighting over Jeremy. This is a little weird.
But he's been playing a lot, so he has, stuff.
I had forgotten all the funny conventions. I haven't played it since Red and Blue. I played Blue back however eons ago that was. I forgot about all the conventions. Like, they don't ever die. They just faint.
you're right.
It's all so nice.
Were you on EGM when we did the silver and gold cover?
No.
That's still one of my proudest moments with EGM, because that was a real fight internally, and it was a fight with our Cirque people, and it
Right.
ended up being, and we did the I don't know
was
if you guys
huge.
remember it. It was Pikachu's face, and it was a silver and gold ink like checkerboard where he was like breaking through it.
Caused
And we did-
epilepsy and some small percentage of readers.
And we did this thing about, it was the silver and gold games and the whole phenomenon and all the all the money and all the merchandise and everything. It was a big sort of culture piece.
Yep.
And that issue was huge.
Yeah, we did
for us.
another Pokemon cover after that because that one was so big. And it's funny to look back on it now, but this was like the year 2000, whenever Gold Silver came out. It was like, Pokemon, is the fad over?
Yeah.
And that was like 7 or 8 years ago. And with every game, and Nintendo has addressed this, they're like, people keep wondering, like, oh, when is the fad going to end? But They've definitely proven
Because as far as I can tell, they do keep basically releasing the same game over and over
Well,
again.
so that was gonna be my observation. Now at an hour and 45 into this one, is it's still the same
I
game.
have
but
played this already.
That's why I'm not playing it. That's exactly why I'm not playing. I played the Japanese one like 8 minutes, and there's no denying the formula is good. We talked about this on Retronauts a couple weeks ago, but it's a rock solid formula. There's no denying it's an awesome formula. But for my taste, once you've played it, it's not evolving much
Mark,
like a Pokemon.
you can play
should evolve.
wireless. You can play wirelessly. You can play wirelessly.
That's right.
With your
Now you
friends.
can do a voice thing. No, that is cool. And the online thing is like, you know,
Anywhere.
whether or not it's way too late or not, that is cool that they finally added something.
So you think that's
with
laying
that,
a
but
foundation for something on a larger scale, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think that game is going to have to be dragged kicking and screaming. Everybody, like we were talking about, like, you know, why don't they do a Pokemon MMO? Like, that would be huge.
On DS.
But it's just they're making
Wait,
so much
can we
money.
erase that part because I don't want anyone to get any ideas. That would be like the end of the world.
But the dungeon thing in Diamond and Pearl seems to be hinting that that's the direction they want to take the franchise.
I don't know. I think they're going to be so slow to adopt anything truly new just because they don't need to. They're making too much money. So,
Okay, so let me stop for a second here. John, what's the hook for you? If it's the same game, you played it before, all that kind of thing, what's the hook?
I honestly don't know, but I know that as soon as I knew it was coming out, I really wanted it, and I've only played a few of them over the years, but I know that every time I've tried it, it's really sucked me in, and I just wanted something that was, you know, designed for the DS and a new game and a new Pokemon, and, you know, using the touchscreen, because Ranger kind of sucked, and
Didn't touch it.
I mean, everything that's come out on it so far, I mean, but this is the first one that's designed for the DS, and I was just intrigued by it, and I started playing it, and I'm thinking, oh, this is kind of the same thing again, but I'm still picking it up every 15
It's like,
minutes.
it hovers like right above that mindless level,
Yeah.
but it's just far enough above mindless that you're actually, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm having a good time.
Well, I think it's got that RPG aspect, that satisfaction of building your characters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like everything you fight, you have the potential to grab and add to your party. So it's like it's like an RPG where, you know, you're not only building up your characters, but you're building up your party out of every monster you fight. So I understand it's got that whole collection and improvement.
See, I'll answer the question for me, which is that is the hook for me, is that it's simplified RPG that plays great in little bitty chunks like you would on a handheld, and it just seems to have like this great combination of just enough RPG to make it interesting
I
and
like
plays
that
well
it's
on a handheld.
familiar as well. There's something to that, I think, as well, where
yeah.
you just
But I
sort of-
goddamn
you
better get my
s-
Pikachu because
You
I want
slip back into it. Which one did you pick at the beginning?
Penguin.
Oh, I went with the monkey.
I love penguins. Little known
You
fact,
guys don't
I
know
love
their proper
penguins.
names? Come on.
I don't know.
I already named him. He's called Pengy.
Oh my god!
rename them?
Hell yeah, I did.
You don't go with the. Oh dear.
No, I leave some of them the same, but Penguin had to be Pengy.
You know what was great is Brian was lying about what Pokemons he'd caught. He's like, "Oh man, I just got the red Pikachu," and Shane was getting seriously, legitimately upset. He's like, "Wait, what? Where? What? How did you red Pikachu? I don't have the red Pikachu." Like Shane is so competitive that he was getting really, really honestly upset about.
I don't
this.
have red Pikachu.
Was this when he was sitting there playing and he had like some headset, some like fruity little thing hooked up to his ear?
Yeah, that was special for filming for the One Up Show. I don't think he was doing that on his own.
He doesn't just have that on all the time.
Not all the time. Not yet.
Jeremy, in fact, warned me not to let my penguin evolve because he's not very cute after he evolves, apparently. So I might have to keep my penguin under evolution.
That's important.
Yeah.
This conversation over the next few weeks is going to get embarrassing. I can tell already.
I'll be fast forwarding this part of the
It's
show.
going to be like the old Viva Pinata segments where we get started
My
getting really
prediction:
specific.
neither of you will be playing it next week.
Next week.
Really?
Yep.
I'll be playing it next week. I don't know about the week after.
All right. Well, you have kids, so
Yeah.
you might have to be. But
Darn it! What's your excuse? Play some Command and Conquer.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
wait, what?
What the hell was that?
Was that Pingy talking? Was that what was that?
I don't know. That was some other ways. Anyway, I'll still be playing it after next week because between now and then I probably won't have any time to
Well,
play.
you have, and the other thing as well. I mean, like we're Wi-Fiable in our offices, and you're
Right.
Diamond and I'm Pearl, so we can actually get to
There
a
you
point
go.
where we can
Diamonds
connect things up.
and
Exactly. It's Prince.
Yeah, we were going to do a big
Outs.
joke with that. We never really did.
Standing.
Prince's lawyers probably would get upset.
They don't. You don't think that Prince's lawyers have a good sense of humor? Have you seen his hair?
And his beard.
So I think I sort of did what I was playing. So,
Yeah. What else have I
Nothing.
played? So I played a lot of Pokemon. I played some more Command and Conquer
Oh, you know
because
what?
I'm just
We got some more discs today if you want to play it. We got debug discs from EA.
What? You don't want to play it?
Really?
I want to play it.
We got final debug discs. I'm going to play around with it tomorrow.
And
Maybe,
I
maybe I'll do
played
that tomorrow.
DEF CON. Have you played DEF CON?
I haven't, but you asked me about this, and it's on my
I've
list
played
of
it.
games I really intend to and want to play.
It's like a really simple
It's the Whomper.
multiplayer. Yes, from War Games, and
Right.
the graphics are fantastic. Like
What got you
sort of-
playing that? Just out of
Isn't the
curiosity.
music good?
It's been out a while.
It's been out a while. They just released the Mac version. I was on a trip, so I downloaded it before I went just to see what it was like. And I was playing it on the plane, and I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. I mean, like the demo, you can only play against the CPU, or you can play against other demo players online. And I was just playing this one-on-one just to get the feel for it. But it's like a sort of fast action strategy game where it's just like build and then attack, and it's all about just sort of your strategy of the attack, and the whole thing can be over really quickly.
It just looks like War Games.
And it looks like War Games. It has that sort of, the
It has that green screen.
glowy
green screen
vector graphics kind of, asteroids kind of look to it.
Right.
But it's really good fun. I killed like hours with the thing just with the demo.
Look, those guys have always been spot on with that stuff. Darwinia coming to Xbox Live Arcade, as you reminded me of. Does anyone know the status of that?
Oh no, I hadn't heard that actually.
Why are you looking at me? I'm not there.
Because you keep up with news, not because
Jesus.
no one
Was that actually announced, or did we just hear that somehow? I don't remember them
think
announcing.
That's
Uh-oh.
actually that's
I think it
actually the
was
first
actually
time I've
announced.
heard of that.
Check the embargoes.
Yeah. Skip's
Andrew just went,
Skip's making a note.
I'd like to welcome Michael Wolf to the program. Because I'm that.
May have to be careful with that part.
Oh, well, so what else have you been playing?
I'm still playing my way through Burnout Revenge, believe it or not.
I didn't get on last weekend. I apologize, and I'm not going to be able to get on this weekend because I
That's
have like
okay.
a mountain of stuff to play.
Nick is now kicking my ass because his patience with the really crazy challenges in that game is way higher than mine.
Oh,
Because every level, I can get a gold in everything except those final time attack challenges that you have to do, and they just kick my ass. And I end up just going on and unlocking other stuff because the game unlocks forever. And but those challenges, I can get within a couple of seconds on each of them. But I mean, I'm still really into it, and the game's a year old now.
That's another franchise I've never played. Burnout.
really?
Never played Burnout.
But you're not a big racing game fan, are you?
No.
I mean, it's arcade. It's very arcade. It's very fun, very quick. But if you're not into like cars going fast down streets,
Cars are like something for someone else to drive and me to sit in.
All right, I'll buy
I'm
that.
increasingly excited for Burnout 5, as long as they don't suck too much of what they did in Dominator into it.
Yeah, by that you mean
By just
As long as they don't
completely
suck,
retarding
I
it.
think
I'm being nice about it. I want traffic checking, and I want crash
Because
modes, and I want all the big
there's been a
setups.
big argument amongst the Burnout crowd that this was actually the return to the
Yeah,
right
but it's
way.
bullshit like the stuff Shane comes out with. Well, I like Burnout back at the first one. No, you didn't. It was bullshit back with the first one.
I'm just saying that there is a vocal crowd that has said that this is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Makes it more challenging.
I think you'll find they're wrong, Garnet.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I agree with you 100% because I really, really don't want that to be the way it runs. I want to have the traffic checking. I want to be able to blast through traffic and have a blast with it.
Well, and you haven't mentioned yet, John, but you are the proud owner of a new console, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, why haven't you mentioned it? Are you ashamed?
Well, I haven't plugged it in yet.
It's okay.
You didn't.
Have you broken the tape on it?
Are you
I got back last night,
No,
really
but I
late.
know, but okay. So you're gonna unveil it to your kids
This
like-
weekend.
Because
this
how many
weekend.
consoles do you get home with after having dropped your cash on them and not rip open immediately and hook up to the television?
So people probably.
Oh, I
have
know.
guessed-
Hold on. Luke, which one would that be?
Well, Shane didn't open his PS3 for like 5 months.
Oh, no, that's not the one.
So I was up in Seattle. I had a bunch of meetings up in Seattle with various companies up there, and just before my flight, we were like, "Oh, we got an hour to kill. What should we do?" And the guy I was there with has a friend who works at Nintendo, and said, "Oh, let's go to the store." So I get there and I go to the company store, which we went to a while ago, and we posted pictures on the blogs of it. And there are Wii's all the way up to the ceiling.
Really?
Yeah,
That's where the hell they're hiding.
that's where they are. They're all in the Nintendo
man.
store.
Once this hits,
And this
like a pillow
do
fort.
not give out the address.
The guy I was with was like, yeah, geez, everyone I run into, like, if I meet people at Sonic's games or anything like that, they're saying, hey, can you get me a Wii? And like, they're all like turning up to go buy them, but they have mountains of them at the Nintendo store.
And they're all winding up on eBay.
Wow.
So I bought one.
Also
Nice.
soon to wind up
And
on eBay.
send me an
games.
email.
As I was handing over my credit card.
I think the way you put it was before you could hand
No.
over
My credit card was in my hand. She hadn't actually processed it yet. But that was the point where the buyer's remorse started to kick in.
You had buyer's remorse
A little bit.
from actually getting a Wii?
A little bit.
Wait, did you buy any games with it?
I picked,
That's a beautiful question, isn't it?
well, I have a copy of Zelda already, and I bought a copy of Wii Play to play with the kids.
Oh, okay. Shit, if I didn't have a Wii, I would be doing cartwheels to finally get
But it was a little bit like how I felt about the DS when I first bought it.
I just got ill.
I hadn't played Zelda or WarioWare or like messed around with the Miis. I would want one.
No, when I plug it in, it'll be fine. But as I was buying it, I was like, this isn't the emotion I was expecting to be having at this point.
And then you sent
It's only like 2
email.
I sent Luke an email.
Moments
and Mum was
later.
like, I just bought a Wii. What did I do?
I think I just responded like with sigh or something.
See,
This is like something a kid
This is
going
exactly
to the...
how I was when I bought my first DS, and it soon grew on me as soon as after I started
yeah,
playing
because
stuff with it.
I don't know. It's $200. It's like $200. Nintendo Company Store too. You get like a fat discount.
It's $250.
Yeah, but you get a fat discount at the
It's
Nintendo
not. It's
Company
not, actually
store.
not that.
I've
fat
watched
on the
Cat
Wiis.
House. You can't even get a half hour for $250.
like a $600. Like, and I'm not saying this against the PS3, but that's something where you're like, you get buyer's remorse just from the fact that you're spending
No,
that
this
much
weekend
money.
we should be playing Wii games with the kids, and I'm sure next week I'll have lots of very good things to say about it. But there was that.
All right, so we have that down on tape. Next week on the show, John Davison on.
So I now
the Wii.
finally, after months and months, I have all three of the
You
consoles.
had to go to the
I had to go to
headquarters.
Seattle to get one. So a not very consumer friendly story, I realize, but yeah.
That's ranked. Not a lot of people.
But we've heard. Are you doing this in news? The supplies? Oh, we'll
Yeah.
talk about it later.
Yep, there's some
Supply's gonna get
demand
better.
Issues.
Best Buy had like 12 units of store last weekend.
Wow.
Not any Best Buy I went in last weekend.
Yeah, what is the story with all that?
I think that's what it is. I've been looking for one every weekend for so long that when I was finally faced with not laying my hands on just one, but walking into this sort of Aladdin's cave of Wii boxes, that it was. I guess the impact of finally finding one was diminished by that.
Well, it's probably been built up in your mind to like
Or
this
I'm gonna get-
monument.
and then-
It's like losing your virginity.
I get there, and there's this guy, and he's
Actually,
he's,
it's quite different from that. That's not anything that a lot of Wii owners are going to be able to like associate.
Wow. Wow. That's all I can say is wow.
Getting those last punches in.
yeah. Who did we do?
Smoke them if you got.
I haven't really done anything yet, and I've been playing a lot. Little taste here, little taste there, but of a lot of old games. So I know how much you guys love it when people talk about old games. But in keeping with the stuff that we should have
like
done
old
last
games.
fall, I started playing Final Fantasy 12, which I'm actually talking about on.
Oh,
That's not an old
You
game.
love it though.
That's relative to this show,
It's
an old
awesome,
game.
isn't it?
It is freaking incredible.
It's in my
fucking good.
enormous pile of stuff I still need to get around to
So
playing.
fucking good. I don't blame people
How far
for
have you
not
gotten?
playing it just because I'm like 10 hours in.
so spoiler alert. So if you don't want to listen. Don't turn off for a second. So what part are you at?
I just killed the first judge. I don't think I'm ruining anything by saying that, but
what the fuck?
Is that an awesome
Kill the
battle?
judges?
the game is incredible. Like I feel silly talking about this because we talk about it on the show today, but it's like it's been so long since I've had such a story like that you really like. It's adult. Like I can sink my teeth into it. Like. It makes the Zelda story, which I love, which is a good story, which is the best Zelda story that's ever been, but you really see that it's like such a light little
Infantile.
side story thing. This is like, it's like a novel. There's characters, there's development, like people have accents that aren't ridiculous over the top accents, it's just like a little, like they're from this area, so they have a dialect that's slightly different. Like, it's just impressive. And I say this, not having really gotten into a Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy VIII.
So it's not like Dragon Quest where everyone has bizarre variations on English accents.
No,
No.
not at all.
No, yeah,
That was ridiculous.
exactly not. And it's weird. I'm like looking forward to cutscenes. Like when a cutscene comes, I'm like, this is awesome. Not that I don't like the battles. I like the battles, but I can't. So I'm kind of talking about that to anybody that'll.
So have you
listen to me.
taken to a particular character yet? Or are you still?
I like oddly enough, I like the 9 foot tall bunny girl in high heels.
Well, yeah.
When does Eris die in this one?
Who doesn't? Right.
Everyone loves Aviera, right?
But yeah, they're all cool, and I like.
See, I think that's one of the most, that right there is one of the most telling things, because I'm further along. I'm like 30-something hours in, and it's the same point for me, is that all of the characters, it's not like previous Final Fantasies, I think you started to polarize one way or the other. This one, because it's not so centered on like the 90210 storyline of kids or whatever, all the characters are real, all the characters have pieces that you can grab onto and get involved with and be interested in.
Well, I kind of, that said, I kind of don't like the I guess main character in quotes, the little blonde-haired Vaughn. I don't like him, but the Han Solo guy, he's cool.
I think that like we're equipped to think that Vaughn is the central character, but he's not.
Right. Well, I'm only like a quarter, not even probably into the game, so
a whole lot of other stuff going on as well.
We just got Revenant. Speaking of Final Fantasy 12, we just got Revenant Wings today. I haven't really had a chance to play it, but I'm playing that like crazy over the weekend, so I'm excited about that. Halo 2, I've been playing almost every night. I'm going to go home and play it tonight. Yep. The new maps have come out. We've been playing that. The new maps, Desolation, Oddball.
Yeah, we went back
to try.
Yeah, we went back to that on what was it, like Tuesday night of this week or Monday night?
Either Monday or Sunday.
And we still had like another 4-second game, just playing 3-on-3 with just custom friends.
2 minutes 56 to 3 minute Oddball, so good.
Yeah. So and you guys we're looking desperately for your new fourth.
Yeah,
right?
we got to replace Luke, so we're having tryouts.
Do you guys need a judge when you play to make sure that like the whole thing's administered properly? We know who actually won.
No, I mean, both sides have an element of truth to their tale.
Oh, no. Fuck that. That's ridiculous. We won't even get into that. We don't even have to get into that.
Wow, Luke's stuck between new parents and old parents
here. Because Bungie is outright lying about that.
No, Frankie is,
outright lying.
He's pulling the truth pretty thin.
I heard that it was a warm-up game.
It was absolutely a practice. The first of 4 matches was a practice match. Frankie left. We have the video to prove it, and once somebody has any time to do it, they'll edit something. But Frankie left like 3 seconds into the end of the final game, knowing that we were filming it, knowing that people would see that final scorecard where his name would be blacked out.
He left 3 seconds from the end.
3 seconds from the end of the game, right? So that it would seem like, oh, I lost my connection like 10 seconds into the game or whatever. Anyway. That's not even worth addressing. Not even worth addressing.
Wait, I think you just did a Dennis Dyack because you did address it.
There's no question. Not even worth addressing. At the end of the day, we won 2. They won 1. Anyway, so
there you have it.
I can't talk about it, but I played Little Devil May Cry 4.
Oh,
and
on what?
Let's just do it this way: hot or not.
I can't. I don't even know if I could say that.
I think you already did.
What platform did you play it on?
PS3. So, and Super Paper Mario,
I think the answer was hot.
I did start to play. I got to the 3rd chapter. I'm enjoying it, but I think I'm with Shane so far. I think Shane gave it an 8, and some people were surprised. They felt that was a little low. I think it's really good. It's like it's got the Paper Mario stuff, great writing and everything, but so far at least, and I'm only into chapter 3, the 2D, 3D mechanic hasn't really blown me away.
So you're saying Lost Planet's better?
Well, right now I'm saying, I enjoyed Lost Planet a little bit.
Where did that come from?
No,
I wish we could just do what you've been playing like for the next hour.
That's how people on the internet will do it. They'll be like, "Oh, well, so you gave it an 8. So this other game that's completely unrelated got an 8.5
on a different platform. Got an 8.5.
It's like, oh, so Turok Dinosaur Hunter's better. Okay.
Well, actually, Turok is pretty hot. Yeah.
I gave the last Turok like a 3 or something like that, so they can't at least get me with that one. But that's not to say I'm not really having fun with it. I feel like I've kind of done it. It's kind of hitting the well-tread Paper Mario ground, which is always like really good writing and stuff like that. But Sega actually has this PSP platformer called, is it Crush? Yeah, that uses that
Shane
mechanic.
was telling me that he wanted me to play it.
It uses
this is the one that Matt Leone is like his next game that he likes.
Yeah, well, it uses a similar mechanic to Paper Mario where you switch back and forth between 2D and 3D and use it to solve puzzles. But I'm only the 3rd chapter in this game. I don't know if the latter half uses it more, but it uses it, and Crush uses it in these really interesting different ways as like a real puzzle element. Whereas so far in Paper Mario, it's just kind of like a side adjunct. It's not really
When's Crush
difficult.
out? Is it soon?
Yeah, actually, it's the end of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's importing Oendon 2? to talk about it on what you've been playing.
Pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll have it. Who's not going to?
Are you
actually?
going to import it?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be the first game I import.
You've never imported?
Nope. Never.
What?
I
Popping
don't-
your import cherry?
Yeah, I don't like those foreign games.
You didn't.
It's in another language. I'm not gonna play it. God.
Is that the end of your playing?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I played a little Crackdown, but we don't need to talk about that.
We did that
Yeah.
a while ago.
I think
Everybody's
that's been-
excited now. Like they're getting back into the Crackdown because the DLC is coming, right?
Yeah.
It is coming, yeah.
Yes.
It keeps pissing me off though because everyone's already played Crackdown, so I keep getting in these games.
And everyone's superhuman.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's like playing fucking Robin, and like you're running around on foot, and it's like boing, somebody's bouncing around, picking up cars, throwing them around, shit's exploding, and I'm dying. Like,
Come back here, Batman.
Yeah, it's like, no, wait for me. Yeah, so
I'll have my own show one day. All right, so last week, I didn't get to talk about it, but last week I had one of the most incredible experiences because it's one of those things that like people look at your job and they think, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you get to do stuff like go hang out with Bill Roper and play his game for like 5 or 6 hours in their studio. And like, especially it's different, like having done demos before with him, having done presentations. You know, Bill and I are by no means friends, but we know each other. So it wasn't weird. It wasn't awkward. So we were like, literally, we just sat down like two guys hanging out. I blogged about this, just geeking out, playing the game. And it was so cool to sit down with a guy who's been like made Diablo 2s, working on this game and just hanging out playing his game until like he wanted to do all the driving.
Sounds pretty bromantic.
I'm like, dude, how about I get a little turn with the keyboard too? It was really funny because the game. So if you've watched Hellgate and you've been reading our coverage this week on the cover story, which it's got some crazy.
Wait, you weren't playing against each other. You were playing together.
No, we were
They were
doing.
sitting side by side, sharing a computer.
Garnett was on the mouse, Bill was on the keyboard.
Yeah, it was,
And their arms
They had
intertwined.
spaghetti for lunch.
Yeah.
that was wrong. That was totally wrong. But it was kind of like that. It was like, come on, tell me you didn't ever, especially like, okay, when I was a kid growing up, I had a friend who had a really, really cool Apple computer, and we used to go over to his house and play like.
It's just going to get uncomfortable in a second.
Kind of really is.
we played.
Continue, Garnet.
Tell me
play
he
Might
didn't
and
give you
Magic.
Jesus juice, and tell me that you didn't
And sometimes
pass out
you're
on his
curious.
floor, and he'd tell me
We did actually pass out on his floor. I have to really.
You passed out on Bill Roper's floor.
No. Well, anyway, you played like where you're like watching someone play and then taking turns. See, you have like the whole argument who gets to drive, right? Mm-hmm.
Sure, we all have.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were doing that, and that was fun. And we played with several different characters, and I'm so amazed at the
You were
fact that.
massaging each other's shoulders.
No, not really. No, but we did have a couple of hookers there who were like taking care of us in between times. Does
Oh,
that make
excellent.
it better?
Hey-o.
Not really.
No. All right.
You let girls come between you.
Don't
and Bill
back up.
Roper?
Just keep going. Steam ahead.
Even having played the game in bits and pieces, it's nice to finally see it coming together because it finally gets across the point that it is an action RPG that just happens to be in a 3D game engine. So you think you recognize it when you see it. You think you recognize it when you see videos and go, oh, that looks like a shooter. But it's not a shooter. I promise you, having played it, it is not a shooter. It is not an action game. You just happen to move your character around with the keyboard WASD controls like you used to do by clicking, but other than that, it plays exactly like Diablo.
Right, and we talked about it. It's like that 3/4 overhead perspective is so ingrained in your
Right.
mind as being Diablo that like it just not seeing it in that perspective doesn't trigger that same like monkey brain whatever it is thing in your head.
Right.
But the gameplay you're saying is that it's just in
The monkey
new-
brain part that triggers is you see a dude with a gun shooting things, you're like, oh, I played that game. That's Half-Life.
Right.
Never played Diablo. Also, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
Didn't have a PC. We didn't have a PC to game on. Like my family,
Skip's never played Diablo
never
either?
played Diablo
we
there
come
too.
from a modest background, and now by the time that I could play a game like that, the graphics look too shitty, and I can't go like, oh, I want to go back and play that.
It's the collectathon thing, but I think the thing that we argued about this on Retronauts this week, the thing for me that got Diablo so right was that when you were playing the game, the atmosphere, the music, the character design, the quests, the whole thing really pulled you in. And other games have tried to have that, like with, we brought up Champions of Norath. Did you play Champions of Norath? So like Champions of Norath threw tons and tons of stuff at you, but it was just, it was like going to the flea market because you had all this junk that you would never have paid $1 for, so it didn't matter anyway. And Diablo doesn't do that. This game doesn't do that. The stuff that you get, the gear that you get, is all it's really cool stuff. It's stuff that even if you aren't going to use, you're like, oh, there's a character in the game that would actually use this gun because it's really cool. So you feel like there's valuable things in it. The art of London in the future with demons breaking through it is really cool. I mean, it's really cool to be walking down the streets in London and see, like, the classic telephone booths and this crazy demon coming up out of the ground. And anyway,
John, you're British. How do you feel about that?
Well, believe it or not, those telephone booths, they don't use them anymore and haven't for years.
well, that's their problem. They should have.
It's an alternate future, clearly.
It's identikit. It's identikit. They should have stuck with it. Anyway, I think people will really enjoy it. I think the other big
Are
part
they going
that
to do a console version? Have they
But
said
they-
anything?
they have to do a console version.
So they can sell some.
Well,
I mean, they've been working on it for, 27 years now or something? So
The game cost $97
million
$1,000,000,000.
they built their own engine, which obviously has taken them a lot of time to deal with, because I think that, like, so here's another way to look at this. If you look at shooters that have tried to go RPG style, you think of titles like Deus Ex, right? And Deus Ex would be that example to the shooter side of it, what this is to the RPG side, where they've taken the engine but they've made it an RPG versus taking the shooter and trying to make it more RPG like.
So it's sort of the opposite of what BioShock is.
Yes, exactly. That's a great way to put it. It's the opposite of what BioShock is. You can start to kind of go down the shooter avenue if you want to. There's some high-level skills if you choose to play one specific character called the Marksman that allow you to actually start doing accurate targeting with the mouse look. But other than that, targeting is not targeting. It's more like you pick your target that you want to attack, and you attack it, just like you did in Diablo. So, and to assuage everyone's fears, Darren has like a big story coming in Games Windows with more details, and I really didn't pry any more into it than this, other than to find out that whatever's in the box for single player, you're going to be able to play online for free. So don't worry about it. If you just want to, play the single player quests, all
Regular
that kind of
player.
stuff, all that regular player stuff, online for free, just like it was in Diablo. If you choose to subscribe, you'll be subscribing to get extra stuff. But whatever the extra stuff is, it's going to be weapons.
Bohica Premium.
Yeah. If you want that stuff, great. If you don't want it, don't worry about it. You're not going to get screwed. Bill's description was kind of funny. He's like, when you're driving down the freeway and you see a dude with a Porsche, you don't get mad at him because he has a Porsche. You just think, I'd like to have a Porsche. I'm like,
Yeah, but online, I think I kind of do get pissed off at the guy with
exactly.
the Porsche.
You sit and you look at a dude who has better shoulder pads than you in WoW and go,
Right.
Yeah. Phantasy Star, like, where the fuck did you get that weapon? Like, where do I get it?
Why don't I have that?
why don't you
Exactly.
start WoW already?
So it does sort of start. Why don't you start WoW already?
I don't know.
Dude, you should totally start some WoW.
All these guys on each
You really
who are
should.
afraid of it would be so hooked.
The guys that are into Phantasy Star and they got all excited today at the announcement of the expansion.
Yeah.
They should go straight into WoW.
Yeah, because
wait,
Phantasy Star is
hold
like
on. They
shitty
got
WoW.
excited about the expansion?
Yeah. Because it's supposed to fix a lot of
Are
the
you
stuff.
fucking kidding
It's
me?
supposed to fix a lot of the stuff that's wrong with Phantasy Star Universe.
I've been watching that $10 on my American Express card bill each month going, why haven't I called live to cancel this?
Yeah, why haven't you?
Yeah. Get on that.
Just, hey, Andrew hasn't either. And so now you guys are going to play it again.
No, they're gonna switch and play World of Warcraft.
Yeah, they really should.
Seriously.
On the subject of switching MMOs, the thing that amazes me, and I just started a character today, is Lord of the Rings Online. What the fuck is with everyone suddenly jumping on that?
Everyone's calling it Lotro.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lotro.
Lotro is the...
Lotro. I don't know. I put it on. I installed it.
Jeff Green's into it.
Yeah.
Sharky's into it.
Yep. Sharky, the most cynical motherfucker out there, is completely into it. Every time I make fun of it and walk by his go, oh, that's pretty cool. Is
I
that
was in
World
his
of
queue the
Warcraft?
other day and he was just trolling people as a spider.
Yeah.
Because you get to a certain level and you can, in the PvP stuff, you can just like take on one of the bad guys and just turn into it and then just like hang around in one of the major quest points and just grief on people.
Nice.
So it sort of has griefing built into the gameplay dynamic.
Right.
He seemed to be enjoying it.
So, you know what? If anything, all I can say is I'm going to try it out. I'll give you some more updates as we play it. But it would be cool for Turbine to finally have some success. I mean, those guys have been lumbering along building MMOs without much recognition for a long time. Asheron's Call, I guess, had some fans. Asheron's Call 2 fell pretty
There's a
flat.
lot of goodwill about it, and I think it's good for them, and I think it's good for Midway as well to have a game that's completely out of their usual comfort zone, and it being received so well. And I don't think it's being received well because it's Lord of the Rings. It's being received well just because it's it acknowledges the narrative and it works really well, and it's
Kudos to Midway for actually having the cojones to stick out there and do PC stuff, because they've talked about wanting to do PC stuff, but so far it had been like, a strange strategy game here and, little things like that.
Yeah.
This is a big license. It's a big license, a big step for them. So that's kind of cool. And then I played around with some Guitar Hero 2 on 360 the other night. And
Skip just put his head in his hands.
it's been a long first segment.
Are you guys, to follow up on my blog, you guys averse to moving message boards to the second segment, since that's kind of a launching pad for what
Sure,
we're talking about?
let's do that.
So let's take message boards to the second segment. So if you hang around, we'll be right back to talk about boys and their toys and the other things you guys are talking about on the message boards. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to One Up Yours, part of the One Up Radio Network.
Check it. This is the sound of us walking across your mom's ass. GFW Radio. Listen to our podcast. Yo, yo. GFWradio.oneup.com. Podcast.oneup.com. Get it at the iTunes Music Store every Tuesday.
All right, it's time for the Yours part of the show, where we get to hear about what's going on the message boards. John, what are they talking about?
It's kind of weird new format, huh?
I like it.
I like it. Yeah.
It does actually flow pretty well, and it gives
Yeah.
us more breathing room for what you've been playing, which isn't bad either.
Yeah. Well, we certainly talked that one out, huh?
The last 20 minutes of what you've been playing, brought to you by our Scotch and Garnet.
It wasn't nearly that bad. The Lagavulin was pretty good.
Ranger Prime X asks, do you regret your Wii purchase?
I wonder how you picked
Who
that
just-
one first.
Who snorted?
That was me.
Oh. He said he played Wii Sports over the holidays and he beat Zelda, and now mostly just fires it up for the voting channel.
I'm that same way, but I'm playing Super Paper Mario now, but it was a long wait for Super Paper
So
Mario.
it's a $250 Java online
No, but I mean,
opinion poll.
do I regret it for having played Zelda and WarioWare on it? No.
This ended up as a 9-page thread. A bunch of people agreed. A bunch of people, like Master Chef, said, I do not regret my non-purchase. I see what he did there.
I want to get my save file because I have there's a disc, there's a memory card or something running around here at the office that has my Zelda save
You better get it by 5 o'clock
from
tomorrow.
like my 30 hours.
You're
My
not
30
gonna play it.
I might
pretend. Don't pretend.
I might have time.
No, you're not. Don't
I play DS.
don't pretend.
You're right.
Anyway, the thread eventually degenerated into a virtual console bitch fest.
Is this the
eventually,
one?
so-
What's the thread that almost got locked that didn't?
That's the one that we're going to talk about after the board stuff.
Well, actually, there's
Fanboy.
several threads
Fanboy.
lately that
There was a lot
almost
of-
got locked.
The
Lots of
precipice.
them did get locked.
Lots of them did get locked.
There was a bunch of stuff like should the new One Up Yours member be a girl thread, for example. That
I approve of this idea.
got locked.
I think it has to be the new news editor.
You think?
It doesn't have to be
I think it has
anybody.
to
I think it just has to be someone that you bring in who adds a dynamic to the show and is good on the mic.
Yeah,
and
we're gonna-
They have
we
to be
need to
a
test
little
some
spark
chemistry.
plug. They have to be a little
like-
spark plug because I agree with people that it absolutely never should be me. It shouldn't be. I don't think it should be Brian. I don't even think it should be Sean. I think it has to be somebody that creates some sparks.
I have an idea of who I talked to Garnet about that. I know someone who I really want to hear sit down with the 3 other One of Yours guys and do it.
every week.
I don't know if I want to hear. I want to hear it because he's never been on. He's never done the show, and I want to hear him do it. And
All right.
Skip knows who I'm talking about.
Well, enlighten us.
It was Jeff Green. I did Legendary Thread with Jeff, and Jeff's amazing. And I would love to hear Jeff with
Jeff is
One of Yours
fantastic
share.
because something people have picked up
And
on.
here I
that
thought he meant Michael Donahoe.
But something people have picked up on that I totally agree with is Jeff is very easygoing, and you are not easygoing. You are so
No.
tightly wound. You are like a spring. You were like the mattress number like 90 or whatever, the sleep mattress number 90. You need somebody who's like very.
But we don't want anyone to feel that they have to like fill Luke's shoes.
Well,
it needs to be
Look,
about chemistry.
let me finish that. They're not going to fill Luke's shoes. It's just going to be different. It will be whatever the hell it is, but it'll be one of yours. It'll be
Anyway,
cool.
the thread was locked for a reason, so I'm locking this thread.
Excellent.
What else? Kappa mimic the "we regret" purchase thread with a "do you regret your PSP or DS purchase?"
No.
And I'm sure you can imagine where the split was.
If you
there.
regret, maybe you regretted your PSP a year ago.
A lot of people seem to.
I can't imagine.
I'm really getting back into the PSP again.
Yeah,
I heard from a friend about the Castlevania game and it just sounds amazing.
well, and
Sounds
God of War,
amazing.
they released that trailer of the God of War game.
The screens in the new AGM, it looks fantastic.
It literally not. And this has been said about other games, but like looks like a PS2 game.
Literally
looks like a PS2 game. It really does. It's fucking amazing looking. What they are doing with the PSP. I mean,
Literally
they
amazing.
stretched the PS2. It's fucking.
And
it
the
looks
game's
great.
perfect because it's a fixed camera game, so you don't feel the lack of a second stick.
Well, yeah, it's an open question how it'll play. I'm not sure.
Sort
but-
of like Ratchet and Clank.
Well, that does need a second stick. Ratchet & Clank's not a fixed camera game.
exactly not
I'm just
like
glad
Exactly
I'm-
not like what you just
I'm
said.
so glad that on my last show you could just fuck something up colossally.
I'm saying that God of War with a fixed camera.
Wait.
Same problem it has on PS2.
Oh God, got it! Quick, tell me about how awesome Ninja Gaiden's camera is.
Okay, that is a good counterpoint. Okay. Are you telling me you don't wish you could have moved the camera around in God of War or God of War 2?
No, but it worked fine how it was, and on the PSP, I think that's a good thing. Because
It is a good thing. You're right. It does make it work on PSP.
Anyway, like with all the shit coming out on PSP.
I want to play this Crush game. I've heard so many good things about this Crush game.
It's pretty cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Beige started a new gaming literacy thread. Did you all see this? Gaming
Don't skip it. It's beige.
Game Literacy 109. The whiskey is clearly seeping into his synapses now.
109.
109. Significant outside influences on style and culture of gaming.
I think that this boy needs to spend more time writing for news.
And less time writing for message board threads. Maya Papa had an open letter to Peter Moore. I am in the process of having my third Xbox 360 repaired due to a complete system failure, which turned into a bit of a fanboy thing, including where Eric66 said, "There is no chance you've ever owned a 360 or had 3 of them break. It is a problem invented by Sony fanboys."
Okay.
Okay, how many have we had break?
Yeah.
What
to
was that guy's username?
He's on watch already. I got him.
Eric66.
I'm actually just going to delete his account after the show.
To that, I will say, like, I think we had 4 debugs or retails on game videos, and I think 3 of them are currently.
We had a bunch of retails from the first shipment, like when the day it came out.
Yeah.
And I think all of them have died now.
And like my home one is blessed, and of course I had to knock on wood because I say that. But I've known, it's all anecdotal, but I've known too many people around here, all my friends and stuff like that, have had to send in their box.
I think mine's starting to go.
Actually, I was going to ask you something because a friend of mine put the Guitar Hero patch on and said that it balked his 360. Now, you tried it. Was it okay?
My machine works fine.
Yeah?
It works fine after having done that. I have a launch machine. But I think that, so around this table, we're in agreement that as a piece of hardware, much like the original PS2, we think the 360 has some problems.
And
Yeah,
the original PS1.
Well, we heard a pretty good explanation for what happened.
And the original
recently.
PS1. The original PS1 especially.
Because one of the things in the Elite, even though it doesn't have stuff that runs cooler, in a lot of the stuff on the circuit board in the Elite is like it's smothered in epoxy to hold it in.
Those pictures off of llama.com.
Yeah. So, and the reason that they've done that, and the reason that you get the red ring, is because the inside of the 360 gets so hot that the circuit board starts to warp, and it makes the chips pop. And that's why it red rings.
Well, alternately, that fix for the red ring where you wrap it in a blanket worked for us with one unit where it's
Really?
like, yeah, where it gets so hot that like one of the solders or something like that actually melts. And all I know is it worked for one of our units. It brought it back from the dead.
I thought that
So-
was some like bizarre
No,
video game old wives' tale thing.
no, it worked for at least one of our machines. So,
So you literally
Yes.
wrapped it in a towel.
that's right. We know towel blanket.
God,
I'm not exactly sure.
manufacturing electronics to lowest cost bid just sucks.
And yet the PS3 continues to tick.
Yep.
PS3
Not
actually.
heard really any people
I'm
complaining
not a huge
about it.
fan of the piano back finish, but otherwise it's
Yeah, I get a lot of fingerprints. I think
Yeah.
it tracks dust like
Oh,
fucking
jeez, yeah.
nobody's business.
You just get in there with a little foofer.
It's got like a static charge. I guess you got to.
With a
no
what?
argument that it works
Like,
though.
Little
you know that
French
little, like,
maid.
the little foofer. It's got like like a dowel with a poof on the end. You just go.
Swiffer.
No, it's not a Swiffer. It's not. That Swiffer would be like the new version, but we have like the old gen one at my mom's
Talking about a
house.
feather duster?
Oh, it's not made of feathers though. It's fully of foof.
All right.
Oh, foof.
I'm still not
Anyway.
entirely clear on what a foof
I think
is.
it's okay. I think it's okay if you're not.
Okay. What else we got? Aeolus88 started a thread about the leaked Halo.
Areola?
No, Aeolus.
Oh,
Not Areola.
okay.
About the leaked Halo 3 video and mentioned that he thought the graphics looked stellar, which prompted lots of comments, obviously.
I would agree with that.
I thought the graphics in that leaked beta looked really good.
Well, I mean, it's in standard definition, right? And
oh, yeah. But it's...
I mean, if you compare
I
that,
think it was
side by
because
side
in the
to
video
Zanzibar,
doc it looked a bit
What's fucking... Well, okay, it's fucking Zanzibar, which is like... And if you're a Halo 2 fan, is enough to get you really excited right there. Like,
just from a gameplay perspective, yes.
right, from a gameplay perspective, from all that. But, you know, I think, and I have thought, ever since we first played it, like it... Graphics are not a problem that I have with Halo 3. Like, that's not... I'm not worried about that at all. Let's put it aside. Anybody here got a problem with fucking Halo 3 graphics?
Hey,
No.
Luke, how do you feel about it?
No, I mean, it's just the thing. I mean, it's just like we said when we were up there, in October, which is the last time any of us have played. It's about getting the gameplay part right. The graphics part with Halo. I mean, for the multiplayer experience, it's never really been like you want it to look good, and Halo 2 still looks really good.
Dude, it's going to have the best gray concrete walls ever.
It's okay, Garnet. You'll be terrible at it.
Absolutely not worried about it. More worried about, like, oh, Zanzibar, like, the base is a little bit bigger. What's that mean? What's that going to do to whatever? The fucking shield.
Oh, is the thing underneath the
Blah,
front
blah, blah.
tower going to be useful? It's going to
Exactly.
be like too much extra geometry. Yeah.
Yeah, graphics, not worried about it. Next.
Music in the video, terrible.
and next generation Little Shop of Howard's plants.
Horrors.
Horrors. Yes.
Garnet, that's
dear.
actually
His brain's starting to addle.
Starting.
it's like when the scrambled eggs start to curdle a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, well, the Sweet Tea 023 brought it up, and this was the story on Time. It was on Time.com yesterday, right? Hit on Thursday. Boys Who Like Toys by Rebecca Winters Keegan. And basically, it's talking about how across all forms of entertainment that fanboys are getting more and more important, which is a little at odds with the way the video games industry seems to be positioning. Trying to, it's a lot at odds.
Well, I would say it's not a lot at odds with how the video game industry is, much less.
No, it's the way the video game industry is desperate to reposition itself.
Right.
We hear a lot. One of the things that we constantly hear when we're going to talk to people about what we do is like, well, how are you broadening your audience, and how are you going more mainstream? And which seems a little foolish, particularly when you're talking about a 360 or a PS3 game where the audience is limited to a couple of million to start with. But what the Time story is talking about is that in particularly in movies and television right now, that fanboys are actually one of the most powerful things that they can take advantage of in order to grow a brand, and that it's the sort of bland mainstream media and sort of bland experience is actually detrimental to stuff.
But
now.
let's break this down for a second. I think that we have different perceptions of what a fanboy is.
I was going to say that exact same thing. And, John, you actually did a really good blog a while ago about how the hardcore, which is a kind of another word a lot of people might use for fanboys, enthusiast, fanboy, whatever, is kind of the mainstream. I mean, how many people? What's the subscriber base of World of Warcraft right now? 6 million?
8.5.
8
Okay.
point something million.
Like, would you consider anybody who subscribes to an MMO anymore? Would you call those people like a fanboy or like a hardcore gamer or something like that?
No, I think that no.
So I mean, it's like we have different concepts.
Right,
of what
there's the sort of
is.
there's the fanboy hardcore gamer image, but I mean, and that was a while ago I wrote that, but that was saying that there's a difference between identifying yourself as a fanboy or being hardcore and versus exhibiting hardcore behavior in a particular game.
Which category would you put like the sniveling NeoGAF
See,
admin in?
that's the
Wow, you
So, like, our definition, I think, of fanboy is like somebody who has an irrational love and will defend something to the death, even if they're clearly, like, objectively wrong as a fanboy. But this Time article is really talking about fans of something, like Lord of the Rings fans, made it a hit.
But I think,
and stuff like
a lot
that.
of it touches on is the fact that these guys that are like super into an individual thing are increasingly important as I think one of the things that's coming out of this is as a marketing tool, that these people that are really into a particular franchise and in the game, and what we're going to start seeing, I think, with gaming is that if you are very vocal about a game, you're going to get rounded up by the game's publishers and put to use in some fashion. And it's happening with some of the way that, there's a lot of games. I mean, you're going towards some of this at Microsoft, the community management and the way that the individual game brands within the Microsoft Game Studios are corralling the fan base.
Bungie specifically is sort of, one of those companies that is capitalizing on that. I mean, you see Insomniac doing the same thing now, where they sort of like the Bungie Weekly Update and the Insomniac Biweekly Podcast. These sort of like outreaches to the community, where your community and your fans have a place and a thing to tune into every 2 weeks or every Friday.
One of Capcom's big things that they rolled out at their Gamers Day that happened recently was they hired 2 like community guys, and they're talking directly to their fans, and they had that event for Lost Planet. It was this huge lavish event that normally only the press would get to go to at something like E3. They had ice sculptures, they had game kiosks, they had food, they had all of this stuff.
Killer music.
Yeah, it was all directly right for the fans. It was for, I guess, the fanboys or whatever. Bungie has been doing it for a long time. I think we did the first time I heard about a community manager position was at Bungie for the original Halo 1. It was in like that EGM feature that we did every year about what was next, what was coming next. And
is that Brian?
That was something. Yeah, I guess it was just him way back then. But it was how much, and it was in the Halo 2 documentary where they went to the LAN parties of Halo 1, and they were like, kind of like saw what people wanted and stuff like that. And they're halo.bungie.org. They're talking to those guys all the time, and they're really posting on even GAF everywhere. But yeah, it's huge, and it's only getting bigger. The direct community, whether it's the fanboys or the fans, I think I actually make a distinction there. Fanboys to me has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
Fanboys to me is somebody that is hell or high water,
irrationally loyal,
will never acknowledge any faults.
Yeah, unwilling to see a flaw in a product or a strategy or something like that.
But to other people, like, I'm a fanboy. I'm somebody that really, really loves certain series.
The tension in sort of and the Time story kind of touches on this a little bit, but I think if you look at the way that the games industry has been treating this stuff for the last few years, the tension that's coming is gaming was built on this, and the success of gaming has got to where it is because of this sort of like devotion to games and to brands and to Nintendo or whatever it is. And I think there's a lot of particularly executives in the gaming space, they're a little ashamed of that and feel that to legitimize gaming, they have to distance themselves from that and mainstream gaming. At the same time that particularly television and movie execs are finding that they need to be courting these guys to grow or just to retain. I mean, you look at something like Heroes or Lost and the way that they've been desperate to endear themselves to the community.
There's upcoming Star Wars series.
The new Star Wars series, the things that...
The Shield has like fan podcasts that they try to set up.
And the thing that I think no one should overlook is that... these guys that are very vocal, they are very useful because they will tell other people, you should check this out, it's awesome. If you like that kind of thing, you should check this out.
I mean, come on, let's take this like back to the roots of it all, which is like Star Trek fan fests.
There's that, and Comic-Con. I mean, Comic-Con
kind of
was a
stuff,
big part of how Star
Comic-Con.
Wars got so big, but I mean, we've seen little microcosms of it here. You know, we talk about when we talked about Viva Pinata a year ago, whenever it was, you know, and saying that we were really into it, and you hear people talking about something with passion, and it encourages people to check something out.
Well, and what about Nintendo's press conference at E3 every year? They invite some of the fan sites, like your Nintendo Joe's, you know, the other sites, like Go Nintendo Kevin is super devoted Nintendo fan, and you get that reaction. It's a genuine reaction at their press conferences, like cheer, and you come out of there if you're like a mainstream analyst or writer, like, oh shit, Nintendo's got it going on. There's something hot going on. And Microsoft, you know, famously a couple years ago, even had people like their own little cheering section to start the cheering going. So it's like
Sigh.
it's more or
PSP
less
for Christmas.
it's more or less built in, but Sony's been talking about, you know, embracing it more and more. They've got some initiatives going on to sort of
Absolutely.
tap into that to interact directly with the community. It's a huge deal, and happening more and more in the gaming space, where companies are having community managers or having people talk with stuff, take stuff from the fans and give stuff to the fans directly. I think the most interesting thing is when they release something like a demo, put it out to the community, and then take that feedback and incorporate that into the final game.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really interesting. That happened with Lost Planet, where the lobby system was screwed up in the online game. They put it out there, and they said, and they made a big deal of it, hey, you guys complained about this, we're going to fix it. It'll be interesting with Bungie, with the Halo 3 beta going out, how much of that, if it's like, fuck, this bubble shield sucks, why it ruins the game, this sucks, this level sucks, does that make it into the final game or not? How much do they take that in? How much do they leave out? Whatever.
So the angle you're ascribing to here is that fanboys drive the industry. Yes?
Yeah, and I mean,
Because here's
fan. I think that
fans
in
drive-
his language,
fans
though, it's
drive it.
fans drive the industry.
So here's the counterpoint I want to bring out of this article in Time, which is that they reference the fact that fanboys are outsiders, and they're outsiders for a reason, and that is because America doesn't always share their taste. And their example, because this was a movie-driven piece, was to witness the failure of Grindhouse, which people...
Snakes on a Plane,
But I
too.
bet Grindhouse goes crazy on DVD. I think a lot of people were put off going to see Grindhouse because it was 6 hours long
It
or
was
whatever the
pretty
hell it was.
Fucking long.
But you don't have to
It was too long for a movie presentation.
You don't have to stretch too far to find a gaming example like the original Eco,
Yeah.
like or even better example is even
The Dolphin?
Prince of Persia, the original Prince of Persia. You had so many stories about like why is nobody buying or playing Prince of Persia, and it went on to sell well because everyone in the press was like, "This is this great game that no one's playing."
and it was $30 January after it came out,
and they dropped the price. Yeah, that helped too.
That's when I bought it. The best.
But the outsiders comment, I mean, like any kind of youth research stuff or pop culture research you see now is that the idea of mainstream entertainment is dead because of the way people consume entertainment these days and the different ways that there's download services and on-demand services, and you can zap clips to your phone, and there's so many different ways to consume that.
So does that extend?
I think the traditional ways of counting the number of people is going away because it's not just like the Nielsen rating on TV anymore. It's like there's a zillion different ways of getting it. And the other thing is, when these guys are really passionate and they'll push it on, something that came out of this story is Ain't It Cool News gets more traffic than EW.com.
right.
And, you know, one of the reasons I've been on the road a lot lately is I've been a lot of these media events.
Quality of content plays into that.
Right, but you go to these like events
You read
where
Ain't It Cool?
it's
I like Ain't It Cool?
But if you go to these, like, you know, these media events that we get invited to, and there's like all the mainstream media guys, and when they start talking about traffic and video views, and they'll go, this one thing we did, it got 100,000 video views, and we're like, we can do that with our eyes closed. Like, folding at home did 3 times. Our video of that did 3 times that in a weekend.
Okay, I'm a little confused here. Are we going to splinter then the audience to where we have lots and lots of different niches that all get a voice and have content being created for them? Or are we going to a point where we're going to have even bigger blockbusters?
No, I think the point is going back to what Mark had said at the beginning, is that the fan-driven, like, more hardcore stuff where communities rally around things is the new mainstream.
Well, and you have games being built around it now, right? Like Little Big Planet, where
but
it's
that
like
Oh, Little Big Planet's a good example. So let's grab that one for a second.
It's gonna sell. It'll sell maybe 1 million worldwide. I don't think it's going to be like this giant world-crushing smash that you think it is. I think it's a great idea in principle.
I think it's at the wrong point in the PS3's life.
It's going to be the exact wrong time for a game that may be the most right game of the gen. It may not be.
Right, but here's the thing: like, is it not a success if it sells 1 million worldwide in a small studio, and it gets people to like adopt and think about the PS3 differently than they had?
It depends on who's dictating success. I mean, is Kaz dictating what makes it a success?
Well, to anybody that sees this game, I mean, not every game is the the Halo or the GTA or something like that, right? Like, this is a game built by a small boutique developer that's not out to make something that's going to sell.
As long as it's good, it'll be a success as far as I'm concerned. As long as it's fun, as long as I'm enjoying it.
So exactly.
But I mean, from like the business perspective of it, I don't think it's going to be anything.
Well,
look at something like Halo. I mean, the way you guys talk about playing Halo, you're still playing Halo 2, and how many copies did Halo 2 sell in the end?
9.
It's not done. It's not done.
It's sold something. It sold like 300,000 this year or something like that. It sold less
So
than
it's
like
9 on the way to 10 million copies worldwide. There's still a lot of people playing it. But how would you characterize the people that are playing Halo 2 right now?
They're pretty good. I'm getting my ass kicked.
So they're pretty good. So these aren't guys that
these are not your casual gamers.
No, they're not casual gamers. There's a lot of people playing, and they're very into it. Much the way that there's a lot of people playing World of Warcraft, and these people aren't just dabbling in it. They're playing it, and how many level 60 plus players are there in WoW now? I mean, it's
I don't know.
Actually,
there's a lot.
I'm going to actually bring in my experience from playing in Can't Quit You to say that there's a lot of people that dabble in WoW. It's a surprising number. We have filled the roster with Can't Quit You all the way right up to the limit of 500, which I guess is a soft cap, but it breaks whenever. Anyway, you're supposed to have like no more than 500 people. Part it back down. We have people who come on and they'll play for a while. And they'll play here, they'll play some there. It is very much a game that people dabble in.
But don't they dabble quite aggressively? I mean,
no, actually, they don't.
That's
I think we struck a chord. We really, with Can't Quit You, we really hit a chord, which was people. There's actually a large group of people who want to go out and play a game like WoW and probably a game like Halo 2. Mm-hmm. If there was an opportunity to do like a Can't Quit You of Halo 2, a place where people who weren't uber hardcore could go and play.
You can't do that with Halo 2. I don't know them. I never played Halo 2 very much. I don't know the maps, and if you go into environments where you don't know everyone that you're playing with,
like when Mark and I are playing, when we're talking about playing, we're playing pretty much with like 6 other people that we know.
Yeah.
So at this point, something like that sort of environment is where, I mean,
although I saw
you play last night.
I've started playing with other people.
Really?
I should tell you that, yeah.
Oh,
I started playing on my own. You can't satisfy me. You haven't been around enough.
Oh, God.
You feel dirty now.
I've started playing on my own.
So I think that there is sort of, especially with WoW in particular, I think that the perception that everyone who plays WoW has a 60 or now a 70 is something that I think that is a misconception. I think that there are a lot more players who, like Jane, the way that Jane played, she was really into WoW for a while, but she'd play a character to like 20, then start a new character. And you have people who play that way, this very like ADD leveling style. You have people who get to end game and will just do like some 5-man things instead of doing these massive raid zones. There's all kinds of different ways that people are playing it where it's still taking up a great deal of their time. But they're not necessarily what you would still call like the hard, like they're not playing it in this hardcore.
But okay, so you have 8 million people playing anything. Not everybody's going to be on like every night. That's for sure. There's going to be some people that play a couple hours a week. But I would argue, and a lot of people who are not in video games who write for Time Magazine would argue, if you pay $15 a month to subscribe to something,
you're already through a barrier of behavior, right?
By virtue of the willingness to subscribe.
Exactly, yeah.
To pay $15 a month
how much is Lotro a month?
I think it's 10.
Like 10?
I honestly don't know. I think it's 10.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see how that picks up. But I mean,
Lotro is interesting because it's not nearly as in depth as well. I mean, it is very much a streamlined, very mass marketed sort of approach.
But I think the fact that now an MMO can take that approach is indicative of the fact that there's an audience out there that is, again, it's like they may only be playing one game, but they're exhibiting a kind of behavior that anyone that doesn't know anything about video games is like, oh wow, you play massively multiplayer online games. Wow.
Yeah.
So to bring in, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think to term these things fanboy and make it like it's a recent phenomenon is a little bit of a of a misnomer. I mean, the people who were making Star Wars, the second and third movies popular, were fanboys or whatever. They were just fans of it. So it doesn't surprise me, you know, when
Now, do you mean the second and third movies in the prequel series, or do you mean episode 76?
But I mean, with the internet, you definitely have seen the rise of, you know, leaders within these like communities that are not formally trained, that are not people that have their master's degrees or whatever. I mean, we are to some extent those people with our blogs and with this podcast. So, you know, I think the term fanboy is like a really wide,
it's a wide
definition
net.
that doesn't,
And fanboys may often be leading the charge. I mean, if you extrapolate the results of what happens, if you think about World of Warcraft and now Lord of the Rings, those were born out of EverQuest. And I tinkered with EverQuest a little bit. That was a uber hardcore fanboy.
But at the time, it was considered huge. There were 500,000 people playing.
Well, at the time, it was considered huge because the marketplace was very young. It was a drop
young,
in the
but
bucket compared to what WoW does.
But what that prompted, and the people that, I mean, you hear a lot of people that reminisce really fondly about the early EverQuest days.
But I don't think you, and someone may correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you could really tinker around or play EverQuest casually and get much out of it. You can play EverQuest casual. I mean, you can play World of Warcraft casually
Right.
and have
But
some fun with
EverQuest
it.
now is part of the culture and the history, and the, you know,
It is.
It's that sort of, oh wow, you know, he's really into this kind of thing. He used to play EverQuest, you know.
It's,
you
yeah,
know?
I mean, EverQuest is
So it's a badge of honor.
it's
Yeah.
the foundation of what. I mean,
And again, and I think this is what the Time guys were talking about, that it's people like that, but there's still one hell of a lot of them.
well, look
I mean,
at-
I think
if you're talking about EverQuest, though, look at Jeff Kaplan. I mean, he was a huge EverQuest hardcore EverQuest player. Now he's one of the lead designers on WoW. I mean, that's exactly what you're talking about
Yeah.
with these fans, you know, dictating and pushing and, you know, being responsible for this wave of content, being integral to the point where it's an extension of talking about this Little Big Planet thing that we were talking about when communities affecting games. But what about when these games and these groups bring people from that exact community in to say, like, hey, we think that you can do this?
See, I think that's a much more interesting topic is empowering those people, like, and how you do it. And now with downloadable demos, how you can do it and how quickly you can react to it. Like, just to go back to the Lost Planet thing, because that's a really good example. Like, I mean, a lot of times you've had reviewers that address stuff that they read a lot in reviews, or they got the feedback after the game was out. But now you have the power with demos and downloadable demos to give a taste of the game, see how the public reacts to it, and then, you know, adjust what you're finally going to do based upon the reaction that you get on the internet. You know, like, and honestly, like, if people knew what the ending of Halo 2 was, just to pull a fucking random example out of a hat, I can't imagine that they would have, you know, done that ending the same way, just because it was like, man, I was so fucked up and so many people reacted to it. But it's like, you know, what you can do and what you can't do based on fan reaction, and giving a little taste of it, a demo out there, you know, learning that stuff before the game actually comes out rather than learning it after.
So there's a relationship then that starts to build between the fanboy and the object of their affection.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the community. Like, what they're calling fanboy in this Time article is really like community, which is like your core, you know, gamer, the guy that's going to actually take time to give you feedback on what was wrong with your game or so forth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of scary thought. Do you think that ultimately then that the community would start to drive the content decisions that are made inside games?
I think it should. And I think but the tension, I think, that we're still seeing at some companies is, well, it's just a vocal minority.
Right.
Well,
But
that's
if
that's the
you're-
knee-jerk reaction.
Right, but if you're moved to be vocal, then surely you're very passionate. I mean, ultimately, when you reach a certain mass, I mean, why, you know, you're not just going to go and, hey, I'm going to wander into a hardcore Halo community and start saying stuff and see if people agree with me. I mean, people don't really do that. I mean, that might happen a little bit, but you get a gauge. It tends to be like, it's the psychology of crowds more than anything.
Wouldn't part of any sort of aversion to it, couldn't it be that if the hive mind is actually smarter than the minds making the product, then couldn't part of that sort of friction be because, like, you know, oh God, well they could take over.
Well, see, I think that's actually, like, with a lot of people in our business are kind of threatened by it, because it's like, well, wait, if the developers are talking directly with the fan base, like, what do they need us for? Right. Like who cares what I say about your
it's
game?
happening in TV. I mean, look at a series like Heroes, which some of the guys left the Lost team, and what they did is they saw the fan reaction to Lost, which was, we hate the uncertainty, we need something conclusive every week. They went and built another show where they took what they learned from Lost and applied it to the new one, and lo and behold, it's a huge hit.
Or even Lost, like, had these two characters that nobody liked, and spoiler warning, they killed them off. Like, they took glee in killing them off. These two characters that the fans just were just like, fuck those characters. Those characters suck. And they changed course, cut them off. Mm-hmm. So I think with games and with things like more games being connected to the internet, you're going to be able to see more stuff like that. People react to feedback from the community. I think it's an absolutely great thing. And the reason I don't worry about it at all, from our perspective, is it's interesting to report on. People love
it. Is
those
interesting
stories.
to report on. I think the thing that it builds, you talk about psychology of the crowd, and I think that's really spot on. But the psychology of the crowd, and in this case, we're entertainment. So it's the psychology of the crowd at the Carnival Midway. And there's just a lot of different booths that people can gravitate towards depending on what they're interested in. And that's what's really cool about what's happening here with fanboys, because the fanboys are almost like the barkers. They're the guys who are out there evangelizing what they're enjoying and what they're having fun with, and they're drawing more and more people in. And then they start to build an orbit around whatever that booth is. If it's the Lost booth or the Halo 3 booth or the Mass Effect booth, and then people gravitate towards that, and they get involved and they get excited and start talking about it, draw more people into, and it just builds from there.
He went on the table and pointed at every single one of us there. Did you know that?
Who was I? You were Halo.
You were Mass Effect.
I was Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And you were Lost.
I was Lost. All right, I'll take that.
Because I was picking up on things you guys were talking about, because those are things that you guys have kind of identified with, right? And so you guys have kind of bought...
that's exactly the point. It's like everyone identifies with something in entertainment, whatever kind of entertainment that they're experiencing. It either connects with you or it doesn't. And if you're moved to then go and talk about it, then you're in this whole other realm. And now the way that you can communicate, you can go so broad that... this is what, particularly in gaming, they need to not be scared of. If
it's like
if
what
the
you start
tide is
getting
moving
to.
a certain way, then this is what you got to do. And I think
Waggle for everyone.
no, but if it takes, ultimately, Capcom, a Japanese company, and Japanese companies so traditionally averse to responding to an audience directly like that, if they can do it,
right,
we need to see everybody doing it.
It's totally it's like, if I can change, anybody can change.
I mean, it's not easy though. I mean, it doesn't come easy, Japanese company or not. But like a change of that magnitude, I mean, you got to get your demo out that early. You got to actually change shit when that you're really tied to, when you get that reaction from the public. And there's some stuff that probably it is better to keep the way that you really have, even though you get this. Sometimes like, the public wants to save everywhere. I want to be able to save every second of the game. Like, they think they want that. Maybe that's not actually the best thing at the end of the day. You still have to be able to make those kind of decisions, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of the One Up Yours podcast, we do news. And this is it, folks. Coming up on the last Out of the Park Grand Slam in the Splash Zone.
Wow, dude.
Pressure's on.
It might be. It
better be really fucking good.
Might be
That'll be the best news ever.
It might be okay. It's going to be. I mean,
I don't see a stack of papers.
It's to my left. This is it. So
make it count.
And then coming up in the weeks following, new stuff. And it'll be also cool. So hang around. We'll be right back with the news. Don't go anywhere.
Someone bring the conch. I think, is that how that word's said? I don't know. Conch.
Shell.
Conch.
Conch. Is it conch? Might be conch. I think it's a conch shell.
Raging.
No one really ever says that.
I don't know.
Conch salad.
You collected them in Jaws for the NES. Remember that?
Wow, I always thought it was conch.
I think it might be
I think Rachel Ray said conch.
Okay, sure, we ready?
Also being recorded. Yeah.
You're listening to Legendary Thread.
I do have all that recorded.
You are listening to One Up Yours on the One Up Radio Network.
Still rocking them khakis with a cuff and a crease. It's Luke Smith on the news.
I don't think I've ever worn khakis to work. They're terrible.
Do you even own a pair of khakis?
No.
You will soon.
No.
You will soon.
No, it's always
Nice
going to be jeans.
Stripy shirt or a denim shirt tucked into khakis.
Oh, so like, look like,
wow.
a grocery store attendant? Would you like paper or plastic? I did that when I was 14. So what's this segment about? News?
News.
Your
All right.
old job.
News you can
This
use
is still my job. Are you kidding?
from the four corners.
Actually, as this podcast's going out, no, it's not your job anymore.
Yeah, as this podcast is going out, we probably are somewhere drinking or eating wings or something, I think. Wings, Skip says. Ken Kutaragi is pulling a Luke.
Give us one last Luke, one last Kutaragi impression.
No, I don't have one. You got to go back to the old, like, tell me, Phil, what'd you think of the price? I can't do it any better than that. That's just, it's unequal. For one, that was my one shining moment. But Ken Kutaragi has left Sony or been forced out. It depends on how you look at. I mean, like John Riccardi posted on a message board about how it was like this is the way that Japanese people get fired.
In Japan, it's kind of the same thing. Leaving on your own and being forced out.
Yeah,
It's an understanding. It's sort of like
that's
the
not actually
mafia.
what happened to me.
You're relegated.
No, you weren't retired.
Yeah, I was not retired.
You're relegated to such a role that you pretty much everybody knows that you're going to leave.
Well, isn't that? I mean, I'm pretty sure that we probably speculated on this way back when he moved out of the group and
we did.
And ascended into the realm where we thought that this would be the beginning of the end for Kutaragi-san.
Yeah.
So he's gone.
What does that say for SCE? Because we can't underestimate Kutaragi-san's impact.
No, he's the father of the PlayStation. Are you kidding?
Exactly.
He was the man who, I think the quote was in 1994, was something like, our biggest competition is Microsoft, and I will kill them. And then the PlayStation 2 didn't kill Microsoft, but it killed the Xbox. And now, I mean, the tide seems to have turned. And Kutaragi, I mean, is he the fall guy for the PS3? Or is it finally that it's just the wiles of the PS3 hardware has forced him out? Or is it something else?
I mean, it's kind of brutal. I guess it's business, but you're kind of one mistake away from the unemployment line. And in Japan, Gunpei Yokoi, who did the Virtual Boy after doing the Game Boy and all of that, kind of had the same role. Was relegated to a pretty low position and kind of left on his own. From great heights, they fall.
Now, but he's staying on, I guess, as a consultant or an advisor, right, to Howard Stringer, and that's sort of just to keep him on the payroll.
Yeah, I mean,
That's standard,
political.
like ousting someone out. The same
right.
thing happened with Paul Eibler when he got his $2.8 million parachute. He stays on as a consultant.
So to stick with what Garnet said, like, what does this mean for the play? Does this mean that we'll see a different direction for the PlayStation 4?
I'd be interested to see who is elevated into this sort of Mr. Visionary position, because in the past, I mean, Phil has been positioned that way, but he's very much on the software architecture kind of side and getting Sony better at software, but they don't really have a replacement hardware guru.
Wasn't Kaz taking Ken's old position? Is that how it worked? His pre-promotion position?
But Kutaragi's background was as an engineer. I mean, like, his passion was like creating the thing.
Right.
And there's not really anyone visible right now that is the, this is what the next box is going to be.
So then they will will they roll someone like that out next year when they announce it? I mean, in 5-10 years when they announce the next platform?
Or, I mean, we may get a glimpse of it when whatever happens with the PSP. If there's a new PSP, there'll be someone needs to be the front man for this is why we're making this the way we are.
I don't think you would have ever seen. Well, obviously, we didn't see the PlayStation or PlayStation 2 basis chips becoming the backbone of IBM's server structure, but the cell is backbone of IBM server structure. So, I mean, I think maybe Ken. Do we know that he's upset about
Ken
moving
Kutaragi, a visionary premature?
This is really something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Is Kutaragi like the PS3 just too far ahead of its time?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this is something we really won't know how much it or what it affects for years. I don't think.
I agree.
Yeah. We can speculate now, but we won't really know until... I mean, I don't know if we won't know until the PS4 hits, but...
There's been a lot of stuff in the press lately about, Stringer and Kutaragi's relationship. There was that
Wall Street Journal piece.
The quote from Stringer saying that, it didn't speak well for his marriage when he'd had dinner more times with Kutaragi than he had with his wife in the last year because they've been working on the relationship. There was definitely some tension.
I mean, when you succeed to the level of PlayStation and PlayStation 2 did, you probably rightly so feel pretty entitled to do your own thing. But, you know, it's still, the jury's still out on PS3 whether he made the right call.
Didn't we speculate that Stringer was the fall guy, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had said, I think, rather bluntly and probably alcohol infused that it'd be a white fall guy. You know, because it is a Japanese company, and you would expect to see that. And instead, we still have Stringer sitting, you know, atop the realm. Sony stock doing extremely well. Correct? Sony's stock is way up, and Kudaragi's out.
And this is on the strength of, so believe it or not, the Bravia televisions, right? So Stringer maybe identified the right area at the right time.
And they need Spider-Man 3 to do well.
That's a given. The only unfortunate thing is whatever box office record Spider-Man 3 sets next week, it'll be beaten 2 weeks later by Pirates.
You think?
Oh, absolutely. Pirates of the Caribbean will make more opening weekend than Spider-Man 3.
Wow.
Such crap.
Guaranteed.
Pirates 2 is so awful.
Crap.
Let's move on.
Tape right there.
away from boats and Johnny Depp into Miyamoto, who's been nominated by Time for the 2006 most influential list.
Johnny Depp could kind of do Miyamoto.
What?
Excuse me?
Wow. Like, ladies and gentlemen, we've just got our first look ever at what it's like seeing through the eyes of a drunk Garnet.
So this is...
I was just saying, Johnny Depp could do Miyamoto.
This is trying to choose somebody to attribute the success of the Wii to.
It's the wrong guy,
Well,
isn't it?
we don't really know. Like, I mean, ultimately, it's kind of Iwata's call, so maybe it should be Iwata, but Miyamoto's a better story than him or Reggie, so, yeah.
I just was thinking, sorry, I was still dwelling. We started talking about Nintendo, and I started thinking about something else. And I was thinking we should have prepared better and done, got a bunch of Kudaragi quotes together and, done voices for all the great quotes that Kudaragi's had over the years.
We need Milky here for
and
that.
And played, a montage of sad music.
Oh, maybe next week. Lou.
damn
Next
it.
week. He'll still have retired next week.
Good. Please do that. Back on the Wii, though, Billy Pigeon, who's, I believe, he's an analyst with IDC, said that the Wii shortages will continue through 2009.
No.
Are you kidding
Bullshit.
me? There were no shortages at the Nintendo store, according to John.
No.
Again, this is anecdotal evidence. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
Where's this guy from? Where is he from?
Billy Pigeon, he's an IDC analyst.
IDC?
He's actually...
You must have
heard of that?
you must have run into Billy Pigeon. He's a guy that looks like what's the
He has-
Pigeon?
He's curly hair.
Yeah, curly hair.
receding hairline, circular glasses. He was the first analyst I ever met before I realized what analysts did.
Yeah.
When I was at E3 in 2005.
He looks like Tom Waits.
a little bit like Tom Waits.
Huh.
But his exact quote was, "I believe the Wii will continue strong growth, although supply continues to be a problem." Yeah, it's 70 and sunny in San Francisco. Weather tends to persist. I'd like to see Wii hardware shipping in larger quantities. So would everyone else. Or mass market consumers make
Wasn't there
cool
some
on
story
it.
also this week that the whole thing, there was a huge shipment coming?
Dude, I order the shit a certain way. This is the fucking setup. I'm about to fucking have it the payoff.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I came early.
God. That's okay. Wait. Let's not toss that off before we acknowledge.
No, he was in the process of tossing
Let's
it off.
not
Apparently.
toss that off.
Before we acknowledge what a bunch of crock of total bullshit that is.
Yeah,
2009. Do you really think you're not going to be able to walk into a Best Buy?
You can't take the
until
Cialis
2009?
afterwards.
It's two
And know
GameCubes
that-
ducked together.
All right, idiot. Go.
Nintendo planning to increase Wii production.
Excellent. Thank you.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da.
The company voice of Nintendo said, "We are increasing the manufacturing capacity and forecast to ship 14 million in this fiscal year to our distributors and retail customers globally," said a Nintendo spokesperson.
Are we going to get any here?
They've been producing 1 million units a month from January to March.
The good news about Cialis is it works for hours, so you can do whenever you want to.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever. Speaking of producing 1 million units a month, worldwide Wii sales, considering they've sold out pretty much everything they've put on shelves not at the Nintendo store, 5.84 million Wiis between the launch and now, which would put it significantly ahead of both the Xbox 360 and the PS3 over the same lifespan in their respective cycles, and if you consider it all at the same time.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nintendo announced their earnings. You got that? Am I blowing your wad early?
I'm seriously You guys are ready. You guys are fucking ready to replace Zane. It's done already. It's just no. So
The good news about
you know
Luke
what?
is that he's capable of multiples.
We really don't need you next week, okay?
yeah, you guys got it. It's done. You just want the printouts. You want to practice?
No, you carry on.
I just finish it out.
You might miss it after a few weeks when you're bored of Halo. Oh, great! A fucking grenade. Awesome. Do you have the line art for that as well?
Can I have a shield?
Nintendo, in addition to announcing these worldwide Wii sales, the Nintendo DS has sold 40 million units worldwide. Skip is shaking his head like he just does not believe.
It's amazing.
New Super Mario Brothers, we said earlier, 9.5 million. Brain Training, 12 million, with 8 sold this year. I think that probably means fiscal year.
Booyah.
So, actually, related to that, biggest selling game this year, I think it's going to be Pokemon.
Think?
No.
Yes, it's
well,
sold.
yes,
you do?
yes.
In
Bigger
5
than GTA
days.
or Halo, yeah, because it's out now,
Yeah, and it's like half the price.
and it's got an installed base.
And they're
going to
sell a cubic ass load of DSs at Christmas and another mountain of Pokemon to go with it.
So yeah,
1 million in 5 days.
if you add Pearl and Diamond, yeah,
Well, remember, Halo 2 sold 2.4 million in the first 24 hours.
yeah. But where do you
Yeah.
think Pokemon's going to be?
You are on your knees and ready to take that, aren't
I
you?
just have the, I just have the stats ready. Nintendo
Hold on,
posts,
baby. I got something for you.
Nintendo posts huge annual profits. Huge.
Enormous.
Blah blah blah. Total profit for Nintendo is up 77% over last year. 173.4 billion yen, which is $1.4 billion. Fourth quarter results, the company made looks like $490 million US, and that's an increase of 8 times from last year. Just
So-
Good time to be playing the market if you're out there. Lots of results out there. All I'm going to say is AKAM.
transitioning sort of from Nintendo.
AKAM. Just pull a 3-year chart. AKAM.
I'm lost.
Do you know what that means?
Go.
Square Enix is not ready for the virtual console. Japanese game market, Square Enix says, requires physical media. Also, Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest are played by a wide range of users, from children to adults, so there are limitations when you consider the problems we would have with billing systems.
What?
I'm just saying this.
What?
I know, this is Square Enix.
Square have been saying some weird shit lately.
Does that make any fucking sense at all? What?
No.
No. What sense does that make?
This is the company that wants Final Fantasy 13 to last 10 years. I mean, like, they're not talking a lot of sense right now.
Is it because
Do you have a rundown, or is like it's just like Cyborg
Is it-
today?
is it
It's just like okay. So did I pass out and you went through the notes?
No,
and, like,
no, I
made-
read Sam's blog today.
Is it because Square wants to keep selling these games like on discs, that things that they can charge more money for
Yeah,
on the
of course.
PSP or
It's 'cause
DS?
Square wants to make
because
money.
Virtual Console, like you assume it's going to be a little cheaper because you're not getting a box, you're not getting a physical disc. That's why.
Yeah, and Square's busy remaking every Final Fantasy game. Why put it on the virtual
Because all the
console for
creative
$10?
people left.
All these retards will buy it for $35 at the store.
What-
Square's not the problem. The fans of RPGs are the problem.
No, Square is the
Whoa,
problem.
wait, whoa.
Square is the problem. What kind of moon language was what you just read?
Listen,
It makes no sense at all.
if you guys wouldn't buy every goddamn version of Final Fantasy 1 and maybe like a couple of them would tank now and again, the shit would show up on the VC for $10.
You're the one that read that like it made fucking sense. What you just fucking
Where is
said
it? It's on
made
the blog.
any kind
Hang
of
on,
sense
hang
at
on.
I
all.
think that's the one.
Hang on, mood language here. What does it say?
Fucking makes no fucking sense at all.
We feel that the Japanese game market still requires physical media. Also, Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest are played by a wide range of users from children to adults, so there are limitations when you consider the problems that we would have with billing systems.
Okay,
What?
that part. What? I'm not going to defend that because that is some dumb shit. That's some straight out of Japan. stuff.
That is some, like translated, went back and forth 3 times. Like, okay, this still doesn't make sense. Let's just put it out there. Shit, right there. God.
In other Square news, perhaps?
Final Fantasy 13 spin-offs. Final Fantasy 13, a game we know nothing about. A game that we're supposed to have a demo of later this year, but we're going to keep playing versions of it for $10.
Awesome.
If you're according
a
to Square
decade
Enix.
of 13.
I know. Jesus, there's no official quote. It's from an IGN story. So 10 years of a game in a franchise.
They've just gone batshit fucking
It
crazy.
is
haven't
kind
they?
of fucked up when Final Fantasy VII, it came out, it was popular. Now you want to like make games about it later. Okay, cool. But when the game hasn't even fucking come out yet, and you're making like Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy Versus 13, Final Fantasy like
Xbox 360, Final Fantasy 13
Mark,
shooter.
weird thing.
Mark,
13.
by the way, you hated on 12 before you played it, right?
No, absolutely not. Never did.
Mark has a great deal of reverence for the Final Fantasy franchise.
I never hated on 12. I'm not saying 13's not going to be a great game. I'm not saying Versus 13's not going to be a great game. But
And Fabulosa. And
No,
Grisha
do we need
Shoes
10 of
now.
them? You
And-
have to have
and
a
Final
fucking-
Fantasy 13 Oranchi.
you have to have a first game before you have a franchise. Like you don't just
No,
like.
not if you're Square Enix. You put Final Fantasy on that shit and people buy it. You just a new Final Fantasy, and they've tested that dumb shit on all kinds of idiots who keep buying Final Fantasy. Like, oh well, did you get the new Final Fantasy 1 remake? It has a new playable character.
Did you get
oh,
Final
I didn't. I didn't buy it. I gotta go buy
Pisses
it.
me
Dude,
off.
Final Fantasy Drake.
Yeah, like Final Fantasy Garland's Revenge with a new special dungeon.
Like, it's-
Jesus Christ.
It's one thing when that's like 5 years later, but it's another thing when it's like you know about it before the first game has even come out. Like I don't even know if I fucking care about 13 yet. Don't
You're
give
going-
me 13.
you're
You
going
so
13,
fully
like-
do. You absolutely know whether you care about 13.
I will care about 13, but I don't know that I care enough to care about
And, like,
Versus 13, to care about the cell phone version of 13, to care about the fucking DS version of 13, the PSP version of 13,
The Wii
movie
version,
of
Megaton.
13.
Oh yeah.
Mark McDonald's strategy guide incoming.
Yeah, you want to write the My Cheats guide? You're gonna do a video. You should one of them video analyses on the Final Fantasy 13 trailer. You can conjecture about the 9
Yeah.
games to
Here are
follow
the-
in the next 10 years.
There's going to be a game about this part, and there'll be a game about this part, and this character will get spun off into a crappy shooter.
A line of jewelry will be based upon this character. Yeah.
This is as bad as like that soap opera show on E.
Great success is folding at home on the PlayStation 3. The sub-headline says 57% of the total processing power, courtesy of those cell chips. Does anyone fold at home? Do you guys
Cured it yet?
They haven't cured cancer yet. We're not there.
It's not working enough.
That's a headline.
Not any
Do
games
that.
to play, but you can sure as hell cure cancer.
But the official numbers for folding at home currently put a figure of around 700 teraflops of throughput currently being generated by all combined participants at any given point in time, with 400 of those, around 60%, coming from PS3s. In other news, cancer's still killing people.
Harumph. Teraflops. Harumph.
Does anyone here fold? Do you fold?
No.
I just put my laundry like in a clump, and then I cull from it later.
I have a flip and fold, actually. It's great for T-shirts.
I've seen your apartment. You don't do laundry.
Yeah, I do. I cycle it.
Hangs it out of the window. There are varying degrees.
You don't want
of,
to hang it out of the window in my apartment.
Oh, you're
No.
the
The other night-
ventilator.
the
You'll
other
get
night-
shot.
The other night I was trying to go to sleep, and I'm not being funny. I was trying to go to sleep, and I could hear like a homeless guy dying in the courtyard. Like there's like a courtyard where like the buildings sort of make the square of green
Yeah.
where you might let kids play. In the middle of the night, you can hear like. I went over to the window and looked out, and I was like, oh.
It's like voiceover for Resident Evil.
And then you hear like sirens, and you just like, it's like then it becomes like that moment in Big where Tom Hanks is crying in New York. It's not like
Aw.
my-
It won't be like that where you're going, though.
In Seattle, everything's all like fairies and doilies. And
It's right on the
flowers.
water. There's Starbucks everywhere. You'll love it.
Sony enables PlayStation 1 games on PlayStation 3 in Japan.
What?
I don't. Yes,
That's
yeah,
not fair.
I don't. Yeah. One-Up's Japanese spies tried downloading R-Types from the store, but had no luck enabling the supposed PlayStation 3 support. So it's a trap. Sony's actually upping the price of PlayStation 1 downloadables. And
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because
Good move.
they're upping it to include functionality to play it on the PS3.
Sure.
So what, you get the emulator as part of the code or something? Any indication?
No, I was going to finish the sentence, though.
Well, feel free.
No, you carry on, Luke.
It's getting uppity.
From $4.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
No, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're paying for the emulation. You're just paying 50 cents more for it, from $4.50 to $5 in Japan money. So 525 yen to 600 yen.
Well, at least they're getting, like, with Ninja Gaiden, at least it's the same day, Japan, U.S.
Yeah, a friend of mine was saying that it was going to take him roughly 17 hours to download the Sigma demo, though.
It was going slow.
And then he was like, "That's why you pay $50 for live."
It was going. We were downloading it today. It was slow.
How big is it?
I don't even know, but it took a good couple hours.
Well, the PS3 has like a real hard drive, so it can probably be 4 gig if it wants to be.
Wow.
But it's not.
We got some elites today in the office.
Really?
Yeah,
Yep.
you saw them.
No,
Sexy
didn't
motherfuckers.
I didn't actually see one.
The black
I just
that
heard-
black controller is
I heard tell of them.
shit hot.
Is it $480 if you already bought a premium for $400? Huh?
No.
Yeah, not really. God of War PSP is Chains of Olympus. We talked about this. Well, did we talk about it on the air or off the air?
We talked
On the air.
On the air.
This 8 hours we've been down here is blurring together.
It looks nice.
Next.
It has a fixed camera, which Garnet has one or two things to say about. If you'd like to start him up on it again.
No, but
More on that
I'm glad that she said camera. It's like we've re-synergized. We've had like a rocky go because
Re-synergized.
yeah, baby.
Sony's
Next generation iToy was revealed. And, what was the?
That was the sound of re-synergy.
I thought you had gas.
I thought he clipped one off.
Clipped one off.
No, that means something else.
The PlayStation Eye features better resolution, maxing out at 640 by 480 at 480 frames per second. Can also run at 120 frames per second for extreme high tracking applications.
Oh,
What?
just keep going.
You can grab. It includes 4-channel audio input. Sounds pretty cool, actually, if you're into that sort of thing. Upcoming titles are going to use it, like I Have Judgment, Ember, Sky Blue, and Aqua Vit.
Okay.
And other games that you have not heard shit about ever.
Which one is
Coming
the one
from
game?
France.
It comes with some, what's it called? iCreate or whatever. There's some software that, like video editing software or something that it comes with.
Sweet. So then you can make, what you can do is you can make an iToy custom porn, upload that to your home,
Yeah.
and slap that on your Bravia. So when people come in, you're like, "There's me throwing it to the missus." What I'm about to do to her here is awesome.
Oh,
Yeah. You see that, Mark? You think that was cool?
Yeah.
All right.
with waggle control.
Oh God. Ninja Gaiden. God, we talked about that. It's you can play as Rachel. Yada yada.
Actually, wait. Just to stop on that for a second.
Here comes a plug.
They did some cool. No, they did some cool things with that demo. They did some cool
They
things
did.
with that demo. You
Does she
can-
still have snot all over her boobs?
What? Oh my God.
Anyway, you can unlock hard mode. There's
Tell me you
there's
did not-
leaderboards. I'm just gonna keep
Stay with me.
talking. I'm just gonna keep talking.
Stay with me.
You unlock her as a playable character. You unlock hard mode. You have leaderboards. Ryan was playing it today. Couple videos on game videos.
I knew.
I only did that because you said
I
it.
knew that's what you were building to.
Only did it because you said it.
Oh God, it's all over for the Xbox 360. It's losing exclusives. Kane
What?
and Lynch is multi-platform.
Oh no, not Kane and Lynch.
Shock and awe. We didn't know that.
Eidos, a multi-platform developer, is making multi-platform games.
Oh, really?
Wow.
What's next? Like BioShock coming to other platforms?
No, they will be porting their My Pretty Pony game to multiple platforms.
Is it the same time or not?
Let's see if it says day and date. I hope it is. Otherwise, well, I mean, because if you're Peter Moore, all that matters is having it first.
Well,
right?
I mean, that is a
Buddy
big
cop
thing.
movie.
So,
10 doesn't say.
all right,
That'd be a good thing to look into, I guess, huh?
for the new news editor.
We'll get the news editor to actually, find shit out about things. Where did you get that one from? Did you read that one on IGN as well?
We'll get somebody that gives a shit in here.
Oh shit!
I think Garnet's having an actual heart attack. Another exclusive lost, maybe. Eternal Sonata.
Oh no, not Eternal Sonata. No.
It's coming to PS3, and I shit you not. I talked to Shane about it this week, and he actually said as we were walking down the hall, he goes, "I've been thinking about that Eternal Sonata game. I know I call it a Dreamcast game, but if it's coming to the PS3, I'm like it more all the time. I think that game shows a lot of promise."
That game-
Of course.
I'm sorry. Shane is going to get we'll do like a side-by-side video or something. Like, that game is no fucking Dreamcast game. It might be in gameplay, but it's not in visuals at all.
So, Shane, next hire out of the Ziff Davis marketplace,
As for Namco, maybe.
Carrick or his assistant?
I don't know. Do you giving me more? Really? Mass Effect.
Ball, didn't get any.
Yeah, there's probably a reason for that, Garnet.
Mass Effect, what's going on?
Yeah,
Mass
that's a
Effect.
good question because CVG reported that the game had been delayed till September, at least. But it was from an event that they said in that.
Yeah.
And there was no event. So
Well, it's interesting because there were ads in the most recent EGM for Mass Effect, which makes one think it's coming out very soon. But on the other hand, Microsoft has been very quiet recently about it.
You don't buy print ads in a magazine to not announce a date and title, or a day in like the next magazine cycle. So if they don't,
It happens.
if they,
Yeah, it does, because you don't pull a game the scope of Mass Effect out of your ass. I mean, you get down to the end of it, you have to finish the game, you have to get it optimized.
It doesn't happen unless something unplanned goes on.
Exactly, and so since you're not
Okay.
going to see a date, it's probably because something is not done. It's probably
So maybe
because-
they're having some troubles getting it wrapped up.
Yeah, I mean,
Could happen.
BioWare, really?
yeah.
No.
Dude, it's a pretty ambitious game.
Is it?
I don't mind waiting for
Yes.
it if it's done right.
How long were you willing to wait?
Fall this year.
I'll wait as long as they need to, but if they pull another Jade on me, then
Can't be past fall. Halo, Mass Effect, we're good to go this fall.
In that order,
Yeah, actually.
you think?
We
think it'll
don't
go first?
agree on this, but yeah.
good to go.
I'm not going to say how I feel about it. BioShock Limited Edition available only at EB and GameStop. And this, the BioShock Limited Edition is another example of what we talked about a little bit last segment with the community and the fans driving the product, because they had this whole deal where there was a petition to do a collector's edition, and then they've let the fans sort of dictate what's going to be included, I think, to some degree in this collector's edition. And that is going to come out, in
Does it say,
August.
do you have what's in it? Because I'd be interested in how much of this was fueled by 2K saying, hey guys, do you want a limited edition, and which of the following things do you want in it, versus, hey guys, if we did a limited edition, what would you want in it?
I think it's probably... Nah, it was like more like the first thing that you said, where they already were planning on doing a limited edition, and then they're sort of
Because that,
presenting
to a
to the
degree,
community.
is sort of abuse of what we were talking about in the second segment.
I think that they sort of are like in this. Like, I think that getting a limited edition was a way to generate interest for a limited edition that might not have otherwise existed. Because if you sort of galvanize the community around the product, then they will, they'll be more inclined to like try and purchase this edition. And then if you make them feel as though they've contributed to what goes in the box, they'll want it even more. When in fact, what goes in the box may already pretty much be predetermined.
Well,
this could just be an elaborate marketing scheme.
Let's be honest. Limited editions are all about pre-orders. Pre-orders control the industry to a huge, ridiculous, incredible degree, and that's what limited editions are all about. It's about driving pre-orders and pre-orders to get retailers to stock numbers. And
God
that's what it
knows
is.
BioShock needs that help because it's dangerously close to becoming the next of those games.
Next to what games?
Great games that don't sell.
Really?
Yeah, it's very close to being the next Deus Ex System Shock game that we all revere and didn't sell.
Yeah. Okay. I think yeah, maybe. I mean, it's definitely kind of it's not Aliens. It's not your standard Aliens versus fucking World War II guys or whatever. But so it's kind of a hard sell on that point when you get into the Ayn Rand stuff. But like, yeah, I mean, they definitely have the press on their
So
side.
you're high on it.
Well, anybody.
I don't think they have all the press on it because I'm
Really?
amazed. I'm
No.
amazed by it when I see it. But walking around the 8th floor, there are people who give me shit for being so high on it.
No.
I think that's
Anybody-
'cause only like a handful of us here have seen it.
Anybody who's seen it is
for real seen it though. not-
really high on the hog on it.
yeah,
big
like,
time.
there's a very small group of people on the 8th floor who have like seriously seen it.
I
A
would
lot of
put
people
it
seen the
second
video.
only behind Mass Effect to me, and I would tell you that, sorry, Luke, but both of those are ahead of Halo 3 for me.
It's fine. I mean, it's just not a game for you.
No, I like everybody I know
Legendary
is
edition
is
for God.
on it.
No.
huge,
I think everyone will be
big
high on
time.
it, but I do agree that it's going to be very sensitive to when it's released as to how successful it is. I mean,
Very
it
much so.
could be a 400,000 unit game on the platform.
I'm very
if they
worried
release
for
it,
them.
but if they release it at the wrong time, it could just miss because it's a little high. I mean, some of the concepts are a little highbrow, and some of the
When
it's a
is-
little
Wait.
complicated. And
You're saying 400,000 on the high side?
yeah,
When's the right time?
Earlier the better.
Earlier the better, yeah.
Get out of the way of
July,
Halo.
early August at the latest.
But right now it's slated for an August 21st.
I think that might be. I think but I think there's a lot of pressure to move a lot of units in the first few weeks because September's when the stuff starts really cooking.
How
this
badly
year.
is that going to go for Vivendi and Time Shift?
Oh, is anyone even thinking about time shift?
I don't know, but on
I'm serious.
BioShock, like the game. I mean, what we've seen is fucking amazing, and they're actually, from what we've seen, taking the time to actually
talking
sit
about
and
Time
polish
Shift?
it. No. I'm talking about BioShock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I think BioShock's and look, critically, it's going to be
A success.
a success. Everyone's going to rave about it, and Ken Levine's going to be held up for much the way that Warren Spector has been in the past.
So critically, you mean it's going to be a good? You think it's going to be a good?
Oh yeah,
game?
I think it's going to get great scores, and I think everyone's going to agree that it's great. But that doesn't necessarily translate into sales.
We'll see.
Ubisoft gets Tom Clancy's End War. Sorry, I'm about to burp or something.
Alpha Clemmed.
Yeah, it's let's see. I don't want to spoil anything.
Big Magazine has
some,
that on its cover.
Some magazine has it on its
Coming
cover.
up.
I think I saw
Electronic something or others.
Anyway, it's End War it's an RTS, I guess, is all we know about it right now. And that's you're gonna have to stay tuned and keep checking it out. Ubisoft announced it this week. It's a new Tom Clancy franchise.
Yep.
I mean, what was the last new Tom Clancy franchise? Is it
New? Well,
Ghost.
they sort of rebooted Ghost.
Yeah, reboot of Ghost.
okay? So this is the fourth pillar.
Yeah.
Check your favorite magazine subscription soon.
You, Mr. Advertisement.
Buggies with weapons. That's what the downloadable content. Some of the downloadable content that may be coming to Crackdown or is coming to Crackdown.
Dude, the sand rails looked awesome.
Screenshots showed up over at Team Xbox, which it looks like they took from CrackdownCrime.com about these new vehicles, and it looks like in this video, in this image, there's like 4 of these buggies racing, and that started speculation like, oh, maybe there'll be 4-player racing, 4-player co-op. To which one of the Crackdown reps said there will not be 4-player, 40-player, or 400-player gameplay in Crackdown.
What about 4,000 player?
He let
He didn't mention
No.
did
that.
not.
Wow.
Interesting.
But what it could point to is just not against the clock stuff, against AI stuff,
Against
right?
racing against AI. That sounds pretty. I mean, that sounds pretty reasonable, pretty doable.
Yeah.
and
No
pretty-
flying cars.
I don't know, actually. I've heard a little bit about the downloadable content coming, and there's some pretty cool stuff in it. And, like, you're gonna get all the stuff we talked about.
At
a long
least
time
be
ago.
able to like.
Reset bosses, new
Yeah.
achievements. It'll be fun for you and I to play together
Right.
because I'll be able to bring my dude, and we'll be able to go through the boss, and I'll be able to get achievements for playing with you.
You
and
can
doing
be his
all that.
bitch. You can be my bitch too if you want.
Call of Duty 4 is going to debut on ESPN this Saturday. Call of Duty 4: Modern Warfare.
Is it being called Call of Duty 4?
Yeah.
Or is it just
Yeah.
Call of
It
Duty?
has a
They have
logo.
added the 4.
It has a logo and everything.
Modern
Wow.
Warfare who makes Modern Combat? Is that Battlefield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
End guy over at Newsweek wrote a sort of. It wasn't as scathing as I was hoping when he sent the end the blast out about like I rail against Modern Combat. I was like, go get him. And I went over there and I was like, I was hoping for a little more vitriol.
I laid out Call of Duty 3 because it didn't live up to standard, but I cannot wait to see what Infinity Ward is doing because I have so much faith in those guys.
It's like the 2 Ubisoft Splinter Cell teams, right?
It is.
Back to the.
I'm just
I
surprised.
have no disagreement with that. The Infinity Ward I will say it right now, they will kill with this. This will be one of the most amazing shooters you've ever seen.
I'm just surprised they're into 4.
Oh my God.
They're into 4 now. Like they're getting into the high numbers. They're getting into Tomb Raider
4 is
territory.
the cursed
when
number.
you're hitting every number every year, like you got to bring it to keep it. After.
IW doesn't lose people. Here's the amazing thing. IW doesn't have defections. They don't have people going off on their own, and they love to build engines, and they started building this engine as soon as they stopped working on Call of Duty 2.
We'll see.
Well, thank God it doesn't take place in World War II.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree.
You whole whaty?
I wholeheartedly agree.
All Pro Football 2K8 finally sort of comes clean and announces that they are going to include historic players and legends in their game, which is the foil to the Madden franchise. Guys like John Elway, Barry Sanders,
Jerry Rice.
Reggie White, Gale Sayers, Ben Wintercoats, Johnny Unitas, Thermal Thomas, Mike Singletary, Ronnie Lott.
The Terminator.
There's one of the glaring holes in the list, actually, is the man, the myth, the legend, Green Bay's own Chuck Cecil. One of the hardest hitting safeties in NFL history. Left off. Dirty player, suspended 3 times in one season. Blood on the, yeah. Always led with the helmet. This is what football's all about. Not on the list, not buying the game.
Lombardi.
On the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Finally, confirmed E3 exhibitors. This great and powerful entity that I only had to go once to work. That once held over 400 exhibitors. Now, just 33. And here's the companies on the list. You've heard of pretty much all of them. 1C, Activision, Akela, Atari, Atlas, Bethesda, Disney Interactive.
Wait, you're not going through all 33, are you?
Yeah, this is important, Garnet.
No, don't.
E3 is so fucked. Let me just say this. Look forward to hearing a lot of stuff in May when you would normally hear it from E3. Don't look forward to too much in July from E3 proper.
Hopefully a lot of...
Too much, Luke. I'm not talking about your fucking Halo 3 single player. I'm talking about, generally...
Well, Killzone.
E3, what E3 used to mean. No, you're talking about Killzone. Oh, of course. No, yeah. I stand corrected.
But you're still going to have, but the thing is, so much...
You will have new announcements.
You're going to have I still think you're going to have those press conferences that...
You will. But, Luke,
that's the cool part.
What E3 was those conferences and everything else.
Is those conferences and then the bullshit. And the bullshit's been pared back to, 33 developers.
Well,
you're spread across 17 weeks.
You're going to get all that stuff in May from the third parties and from a lot from the first parties, and then you'll get some more stuff at E3 time, but not at all what you're used to associating with E3, period. And it's going to suck for us. It's going to suck for us.
He could go all the way. And he does. That's it, folks.
That's it. There's no more news in my hands.
You're spent.
That's it. You're done.
We're at the end.
That was your final act.
How'd it feel?
You're good.
Yeah? Did you do what you set out to do?
I need to smoke. Yeah.
I think you do.
Amen. Brother, this has been an incredible journey. And I got to tell you, a year ago, just a little bit over a year ago, when Luke sat down in that chair as a completely different guy, it was a whole other One Up Yours. And you know what? This is going to sound a little funny because there are going to be a lot of people who are upset about Luke leaving. And no offense, I'm kind of excited about what might come next because it's an interesting evolution, right? John?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Better be.
Better be. Well, you're the editorial director, motherfucker, so that's on your shoulders.
I'm a little
That's
upset.
not my problem.
I don't think you
speak
can
for those
address me
people.
as editorial director, motherfucker.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I was fired for last once.
Yeah.
I'm a little. I think
Whatever.
I
understand there's a job at FOSSA for me.
We need to find that. I don't know. I think there needs to be a Tinder box. I'm one of those people. I'm a little upset. I'm a little. I can't wait to see what. I mean, I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but at the same time, I'm a little.
No pussies. Is that your advice?
How about this?
It's going to be hard. I can
This
say
guy
that.
right over here, Andrew, who has not ever been on the mic, has been by me.
A couple times.
Andrew's on the mic
Okay,
now and then.
not been on the mic a lot. Has been by me since even well before then. What do you think? It's gonna be interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
You looking forward to it?
Yes.
All right.
It's
so-
absolutely going to be interesting. I think I can say that, but it's going to be a different show. I think no matter what, we can all say that.
Yeah.
We'll miss you, bro.
Yeah, I'll miss you guys too. I don't know what I'll be doing at Thursday at
8:30.
Yeah, 8:30.
You'll be watching The Office
Yeah.
on your TiVo, on your fucking Bravia, with your dog in your backyard.
Actually, he'll be on the message boards going, God damn it, when are you going to post that One Up Your show? It should be up now.
It takes a while to produce. What the fuck?
Exactly.
No, you'll be playing Halo 3
Yeah.
for the next at least 2 years. You'll be hearing boop, boop, boop.
Yeah,
That.
not that many times around though. I don't think.
Well, we'll see. I don't
So that's
know.
where you should be posting, boards.oneup.com. Until then, we have successfully poured out one.
Polish that off.
Poured it into our bellies.
Cheers, Luke.
Cheers,
We're
Luke
going to
Smith,
miss
guys.
you.
To Luke
Cheers.
Smith.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you
We're
guys.
gonna miss you, man.
Salute.
Absolutely. One of a kind.
Until next week, we're out.
Thanks for buying this week's One Up Yours podcast. Oh, wait, that's right. You didn't pay for it because it's free, just like any good online service should be. This is Shane Bettenhausen signing off. PlayStation 3.
This is so awesome.
Game face.
I think that's it.
A nice sounding set of replacement earbuds.
Shut up! John's about to walk off the project.
You're too rock and roll.
Gonna like do that thing where you count down again and then nothing happens.
We just gotta like.
Okay.
All right. In 5, 4, 3.
You're listening to the One Up Yours podcast live from the E3 show floor, and yes, we're as disappointed as you are.
I like that.
Hi, this is Luke Smith from One Up Yours, taking a break to say hello, live from E3. I'm playing with my Wii. Aren't you jealous? Hi, this is Luke Smith from One Up News. Fuck you. Do you enjoy being talked dirty to? Do you want to hear a little bit about video games and a lot about dick? Tune in every Friday to the One Up Yours podcast. Hi, this is Garnett Lee, and I wear red shirts. Let's not shut up. Hi, this is Luke Smith, and I desperately wish I was British. You want to hear a Brit? Listen to John Davison, Garnett Lee, Shane Bettenhausen, and myself, bitch, every Friday on the One Up Yours podcast. Download it at podcast.oneup.com or subscribe to it via iTunes. Hi, this is Luke Smith from the One Up Yours podcast. We're balls deep in E3 2006, and yes, the fourth dimension is retarded. Check us out every day live from the E3 show floor. Hi, this is Luke Smith from the One Up Yours podcast. Does the sound of my voice make you wet?